What up, what up, what up, New York Giant Nation? It is your boy, Mac the Giants fan, here with my guy, Adam Costas. This is the real deal. NFC East Round-Up. Cue that intro, baby.
Castro, this should be
Good afternoon, good evening, wherever it is, everybody. Welcome to another off-season edition of the Real Deal. And
I am frozen. Or Mac, you're frozen. Mac?
NFC East Round-Up. Me
There we
and
go.
yeah,
Yeah, sorry about that. I thought you were frozen for me.
internet's acting a little funny right now for some reason. Hope it stays together for the rest of the show. But how you doing today, Adam?
It is a positive day here in Costas camp. Okay, I'm excited. It's the off season. We're talking NFC East football. Doesn't get much better than that in the middle of June.
Absolutely, man. Just going, talk a little bit about some of the little mini camp news and those things we've been hearing about going on in everybody's respective camps. Get started out, get started down in Eagle camp right now, man. Got a little mini camp going on, but they've been doing things a little differently this all season. The Eagles have definitely been focusing on, I feel like, resting up their players a lot, making sure they're keeping their players healthy. They haven't been going at it as aggressively as everybody else this all season. What's going on, Miz? But they do have a little mini camp going on right now, so
What the Eagles? The Eagles do have a mini camp. They are ready to go. I think the things that are coming out of Eagles camp that I'm hearing are that they having trouble connecting with the quarterback and receiver. Now that is expected in June. I do expect that to be the case. What I think is the bigger news is that is that James Bradbury's having a little trouble. Now, again, it's nothing. It's June. You're getting used to a system, but I think that's somewhat interesting to see that these two new acquisitions are trying to get going. Now, I'll go with this with the AJ Brown thing, man. He got here in April, right? April, whenever the draft was. So now it's June. So 2 months. I don't expect him to know everything. So
well, no, not at all. I mean, it's gonna take time to connect with his new teammates, get used to his new teammates, acclimated with everything. He's a great receiver. He'll figure it out by the start of the season for sure. I mean, he's one of the best receivers in the league. But I have heard a few rumors. I don't know how true they are about him and Jalen Hurts not being quite on the same page yet. But that takes time to build that chemistry up. Ain't like these two ever played together before. So
I
they're
mean,
professionals, and I feel
we
like they'll figure it out with just the level of talent they both possess.
well, think about it. They have what, a month and a half till training camp. I mean, I'm sure they will, if they're smart and we deem them the way we deem them, they'll try to make some time to get in the playbook a little bit, so that when they get to training camp, it's not such a it's not foreign to them. So I mean, I think we can't give up. I can't. I think you're right, Mac. No matter what, AJ Brown, as long as he's there by the start of the season, and they'll figure it out. If he's injured, I would be a little bit more worried because he's never played in the system and those things. But if he's healthy, I think hopefully you'll not hopefully, because I'm a Giant fan, I want to see him do well. But you hope as an Eagle fan that they'll have their stuff together by hopefully week 4 or 5. After having almost a month or two of practice together, that they'll have their chemistry. So, for them, they probably hope that it happens early on.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not that concerned right now with him, being a little behind the whatever, little behind right now in May because it's still May. Like you said, this is all new. This is a new system, new team to him. Like I said, new teammates, new city. A lot to get acclimated to, man. Philly's a lot different than Nashville. I tell you that right now. So,
It is.
Secret Tick talking about AJ Brown right now, man. What do you what do you think this means for the Philadelphia offense? What impact he's going to have on the Philadelphia offense? Not just his own personal impact, but everybody else on the offense, like the Devontae Smiths, the Dallas Goederts, the Miles Sanders. How does this open up things for all of those other great playmakers the Eagles already have?
Well, I think Devontae Smith is the one that's going to benefit the most from this move, 100%, because not saying Devontae Smith is not a number one, but A.J. Brown has proven that he's a beast in the league. So that's going to have defenses shade the coverage over there. So if I'm Devontae Smith, I'm loving it because I'm going to get a lot of one-on-one matchups. Same thing with Dallas Goedert, right? Because, again, you can't cover the whole field. And if you got guys all over the place, such as A.J. Brown, such as, Devontae Smith and Goddard, not to mention they're moving Arcega-Whiteside from receiver to tight end. Not saying he's a great player, but this is going to change the dynamic of that offense. And let's not forget that Jalen Hurts likes to move around the pocket a little bit. So there'll be a lot of plays where you might see A.J. Brown streaking down the field because a broken coverage, right? Jalen Hurts rolls out. All of a sudden, the DB is young, and maybe he moves it, and boom, he breaks the coverage, and there goes A.J. Brown. So I think A.J. Brown's impact overall on the offense will change everything that we see because I think Devontae Smith will benefit, and I think Dallas Goedert will with the coverages that are going to be rolled over to that side. And then the vice versa, right? If Devontae Smith is doing great, what are you going to do on defense? You can't have him beat you, so you're going to have to roll back to the other side. So there may be chances for A.J. Brown down the field as well. So it's going to be really tough facing the Eagles offense with what they do, especially building off of last season when they didn't have as many playmakers as they do. If they stay healthy, you're going to look for a pesky Eagle offense.
I mean, I definitely agree, but I also think Miles Sanders is going to benefit as well because he's already a pretty dynamic running back when things have been a little more bottled up for him, and now it's going to be a lot more spread for him, a lot more open for him. He's going to probably have and they already have a good offensive line in Philly, so he's probably going to get some have a lot. He's going to have a lot more bigger open holes to run through, and that could mean big things for Miles Sanders as well. So I think he's going to benefit a lot from the addition of another dynamic receiver like A.J. Brown being on the outside too.
I agree with you there on that point because the best they say the best thing for a passing game is a good running game, but sometimes the thing for a good passing game is a runner that's dynamic, right? And so if you're going and you're spreading them out, right, you're doing 4 or 5 wides. Now you got, like I said, let's line up Arcega-Whiteside, Goddard, Devontae Smith, and A.J. Brown, and you can throw in maybe Jalen Reagor. I know they hate that guy, but let's just throw him in for this purpose, right? So now you have the offense is spread out because everyone's spread. The offensive line, like you said, is pretty decent. Jalen Hurts can turn around and give it to a guy that's reliable, that's got some speed, and that can take it to the house, at any given play. So, not him, and then you have Boston Scott. So I think a lot of things are going to change in this offense with A.J. Brown. I think we're going to see the impact, like you said, go across the entire offense.
Definitely agree. Well, we can look at the other side of the football for the Eagles, man. They made some moves defensively as well this offseason. They made some impact draft picks, and they also acquired a pretty damn good cornerback in free agency, as we all are familiar with, Mr. James Bradbury, formerly of the New York Giants. So, but they also, besides Bradbury, before in the draft, they also were able to scoop up Nakobe Dean in the 3rd round of the NFL draft. And first round pick, the big defensive tackle they got, get his name.
Jordan Davis,
yeah. I mean, so they made some moves on to help bolster up that defense as well. So the Eagles, they took this offseason very seriously. They went in there with a plan, it looks like, and they executed, I feel like, very, very well. So how do you think some of these moves impact their defense?
I think the Kobe Dean is going to be a steal for them in this defense, and the fact is that I don't know what the medical is. Right? They said it's a shoulder thing or something like that, but obviously this guy's future is on the line. So you don't think he's going to get opinions, second opinions, even third opinions. So it's just interesting to see. I think people are going to understand the impact that Jordan Davis will have. because Jordan Davis will be, he'll be big time, right? He's going to clog up the middle. Him and Fletcher Cox and Vernon Hargraves, I think the guy's name is, are going to eat up the middle. So you're going to have him, and then you have Nakobe Dean behind him, right? Kind of filling those holes. And then you have James Bradbury, who I think paired up with Darius Slay is a good duo, right? That can mask a lot of the weaknesses. A lot of the weaknesses happen in the Philadelphia secondary where the cornerback's not being able to keep up and, the safety's not doing a good job. If you have two good corners, they can mask your safety play. They can say, okay, we got these guys locked up. This is your assignment now. And if Darius Slay, we all know can play, and then James Bradbury, like it or not, he's a solid corner on the other side. And I know that, like you said, he was getting acclimated. He's struggling. James Bradbury is a pro's pro, and they'll figure out how to use that guy. And I think he'll be a beneficial corner for them. Now, it's a 1-year deal, but he does play bump and run, and the Eagles are very aggressive, and they like to play a lot of man coverage because they like to bring those linebackers. So I'm wondering how all of them are going to mesh, but I think they really did a good job in executing whatever their offseason plan was, and that was to get better on defense, to help out the offense. And then, of course, we can't forget about the draft day trade of A.J. Brown. That's mixed in there. So that offseason plan of doing that, I really believe will help them. And getting back to the offense scoring points and being able to do that helps the defense. Because the defense, if they let up a touchdown, they're going to be like, well, our offense has got this. We'll go get them on the next series. And it really does change your mindset going forward when you play defense, because guys will want to play because they know you can score. So.
Totally agree. What's going on, Coach? Thanks for stopping in, man. But yeah,
Hey, Coach.
yeah, this is going to be an interesting team going forward. I mean, there's a lot of hype around this team. There was an off season, a very famous off season about 10, 11 years ago. The Eagles had 2011
The dream
off
team.
season, the dream team off season, where they made a lot of big splash moves as well, and then ended up falling flat on this. And that falling flat. That's why they play the game. Now, technically, as I'm evaluating things right now here in the month of May, or excuse me, this is June now, but whatever. As I'm evaluating things at this point of the offseason, the Eagles look pretty damn good on paper. I got it. I just call it like it is. They look pretty damn good. They look primed to go out there and take this division. With that being said, that's why they play the game. And I look back at that 2011 season, and I hope we can generate those same vibes, and this team can fall flat on their face again.
Well,
Because we just need that. That's what we need to happen. What's going on, Tudo, in the chat?
listen, I agree with you as a Giant fan, and I want the same sentiment. However, this is how I feel, okay? This is different than 2011 or whatever that season was, because they're not, the only guy they're really bringing in is A.J. Brown, right? I mean, James Bradbury they're bringing in, right? But they're not touted as the best corner in the league. When they brought in the Dominic Nathani Asamoah, he was touted as the best free agent corner on the market, right? They brought in Vince Young. They brought in all these other players and they even said it themselves. This team understands, I feel, a little differently. Like, we need to go get the NFC East. The only way to do that is to have a bona fide number one to help our quarterback, and have a good defense to keep us in the games. And so while I want to throw those vibes this way, when I'm evaluating the team, I see a team that right now on paper looks better. Now, will they all mesh? I have no idea. Like you said, Mac, that's why we play the games on Sunday, because it'll be done in the trenches. You know what I'm saying? It'll be done in the between the white lines. They will hash it out. But to me, I just feel right now with they really had a smart offseason. They attacked needs where they needed them. They got better on defense with the tackle and the linebacker. They got better on offense with A.J. Brown, right? And they made moves that weren't the same as that Eagle team. So while I agree with you there, I don't want to see them do well because Giant fans, I think this one's a little different.
No, I agree. I wasn't necessarily saying that I think it's the same way. I'm just hoping that same energy can kind of return to their building and they can have some similar results, because we're going to need a little bit of that mojo to help us out in New York Giant land this offseason, man. But if you got any more thoughts on the Eagles, man, we can probably, because they honestly haven't, other than making some pretty good moves, they've been probably the most quiet team as far
Yeah.
as on field activities and stuff or whatnot. Been things, a lot of hush. Want to talk about Jalen Hurts real quick, maybe, and just how important his step up for him will be this year?
I think quickly, Jalen Hurst will have no excuses. I know we put that on a lot of guys, but they're doing it's same thing with Daniel Jones, right? They're giving him weapons now. They have an offensive line, and they know that they can play with anybody, and they can keep it within the confines of their offense. So if he plays competent like he did last year, I don't see the Eagles really having any trouble winning the division or even winning games. He doesn't need to take a huge jump. He just needs to take enough of that growth from year 2 to year 3 and become a better quarterback that way. The weapons are in place for him to do that.
I mean, the only thing I need to see, honestly, from him, from Jalen Hurts, myself personally, because I respected with his season last year. I was one of the ones that was trashing that kid all last off season, and I had to eat a whole lot of crow behind Jalen Hurts' performance last year. But I think what I need to see is when the teams can stymie his running ability and keep him in that pocket, can he make the throws he needs to make and beat teams with his arm? He did not prove that to me last year. That is the one my biggest beef and gripe with him last season was when teams were able to contain him, his running ability, he was not able to go out there and show that he could beat them with his arm.
And that'll be the thing this year because Sirianni is the coach, right? He's the offensive guy, so we'll see if he can cultivate that out of Jalen Hurts.
See Tudo's comment, Adam. Big boss Adam, the good roster on the paper don't mean nothing. If by accident spill your coffee on the paper, you won't be able to see what is on the paper. We say forget about it.
Well, yeah, I agree with it too. But you know how many people have told me how bad a team's going to be or how good a team's going to be with the schedule? It's kind of the same thing. It's a wait and see approach. I don't think the roster is great. I like what they game planned for, how it was structured, what players they went after, guys that we all deemed pretty good, right? I mean, there's a lot of us who wanted Jordan Davis, or a lot of us who wanted Nakobe Dean. So just because they got them, yeah, they may not pan out, and we hope they don't. But at the same time, I got to respect that they went out and tried to do what they needed to do to become a better football team.
I mean, for what it's worth, right now, here in the month of June, all we can do is look at things on paper because there's not enough going on the field to make any true determination about on-field play yet.
I'm going to try to spill my coffee all over A.J. Brown. The hotter the better, right? That way he doesn't play on Sunday, right? So if that's what keeps him out of the game, hot coffee, well, then by all means, I'll be a spy and be an intern and happen to bump into him one day and say, oops, sorry, Mr. Brown. Oh, A.J.'s out for the game because of second-degree burns from an intern with coffee. So.
All right, man. So we can, if you don't have any more final thoughts on the Eagles, we can definitely move on.
Boo those birds. That's my final thought.
We can move on down to the Dallas Cowboys. Take a trip to Texas.
God. Here we go.
Look into these Dallas Cowboys, who also just had a mini camp this week that just wrapped up today. They may still be actually finishing wrapping it up now, whatever. But I'm hearing news. A lot of news I'm hearing out of Dallas's camp, man. A lot the receivers are a little bit banged up right now. Nothing to get too worried about, but hearing they're having a lot of receiver issues, the receivers being banged up. Dalton Schultz, who has not attended any of the offseason activities up until this week, did finally report for minicamp. He is right now looking for a new contract as well, coming off of a pretty good season a year ago. So, you got any Dallas news you've been
well, first and foremost, the Dallas Cowboys can kiss my you-know-what. That's first. I just want to let the people know. But being that we're doing a show and we have to give our educated guesses, right now I'm not too worried about the Dallas Cowboys and how they're handling certain endeavors because it's training camp. They'll get it together. They'll make it work out. They'll work it out. I think Dak Prescott has a big bullseye on his back, as he always does, as the quarterback of the thing. And the offense, I think the offensive coordinator has a big target on his back as well because this team won the division last year. We believe they regressed somewhat, right? In our take early on, we said we think the Eagles we think the Eagles are going to win. I really don't want the Eagles or Cowboys to win the division, to be honest with you. But for this argument, we agree that they might be the second team. So what is that going to do? What is the Cooper absence going to do? Because I believe in Gallup, right? I think he's a solid player. I think we're not giving him enough credit as fans if
Right.
we don't. You know,
Absolutely agree.
I think he's a solid player. He did get paid this year. He got paid to be a guy on their team, and he was a homegrown guy. So we'll see. Ezekiel Elliott, I mean, they're trying. He's still on the football team, so they're going to have a good football team. And the Cowboys are one of those streaky teams, right? They come out the gates hot sometimes, and then they fizzle. And that's just been their MO. And we'll see if they can get over the hump. Their defense is the same. Micah Parsons is 1 year in the system. They lost Randy Gregory, so their pass rush is a little depleted. But we'll see how Dan Quinn, who's coming back for the second year, puts them together. Because I think Dan Quinn, who's an underrated head coach and an underrated defensive coordinator, is going to have a better scheme and a better outlook with Micah Parsons, who's now a year in the system. Right? He doesn't have to learn anymore, really. He can execute the plays. So for me, the Cowboys, they're the Cowboys. They're always a media darling. They're always in the playoffs. They're always the ones that are going to win the division. Like you said, let's see it on Sundays. Because
Absolutely.
I think some of their offseason moves have hurt them. How much it hurt them, we'll find out this season.
I mean, I totally agree with that. Another big story I've been hearing coming out of Cowboy camp, man. All of a sudden, they seem to be offensive coaches or something. Seem to be interested in getting Dak to use his legs a little more, running the ball a little more, a few more, uh, called
Design
run
run.
plays to Dak, design run.
You there? You got your froze
Runs
again.
to Dak, man. How do you feel about that for your?
Dak Prescott running. I think that it's a interesting dynamic to add to the element. I think a lot of offenses are doing it. I don't know how I feel. Let the guy naturally run. If he's comfortable in the pocket, don't force runs and put him more in harm's way because you want him to run the football or you deem he can run. Let it be natural, right? So, I look at it like this. Dak Prescott came in, he did run. He had rushing touchdowns his first year. Why they got away from it, I have no idea. But let's be honest. How did he get hurt and break his ankle? It wasn't because he was in the pocket. It was because he was running and somebody was jumping on his back to tackle him, right? So, I agree that he might be able to do it, but the longevity of quarterbacks running, it doesn't have a lifetime. So if this guy you paid him what, $130 million or whatever ridiculous number you gave him, and now you really want to add run plays onto his resume just because you want to maximize the offense, I feel like that's a catch-22. I feel like that's something you shouldn't and wouldn't want to do because if he gets injured, who do you have as a backup? Cooper Rush?
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous their depth at quarterback, but also just it needs like you just said the key word. Let it be more organic, more natural. Dak is he's a pretty mobile guy. I mean, he's a good athlete, pretty mobile guy, but he's not what I call a running quarterback necessarily. He is definitely more of a pocket passing quarterback. And the running is an added bonus that he can move around. He's not just a stationary target back there. He can avoid the pass rush a little bit, help his O line out when things break down. How you doing out there in the chat, Kay? Nice to see you, man. Thanks for stopping in. But yeah. So I just think they need to let it develop more organically and not try to force the issue so much. But
Well, like I don't mind an RPO run here and there, right? I don't. And I know that the guy Kate is saying that management wanted him to stop running. Look, every quarterback that I've seen that has run or become a runner or has predominantly run has got injured. Randall Cunningham, Don McNabb, Dante Culpepper, Michael Vick. All these guys have had issues when they run. So the more you run him, the more you put him in harm's way. And for me, like you said, if he's done it and he's putting up decent passing numbers, not like this guy is throwing for 3,200 yards and like 20 touchdowns like our quarterback is, and we want to add a dimension just to make him more dynamic, right? We know we're adding this guy, can run, but let's let him do it on his own. The pocket breaks down, run. You want to throw in an RPO every once in a while to have a flavor, fine. But I think just like the Wildcat, this RPO is going to come and go very soon because one of the quarterbacks who's not a runner is going to be like, the coach is going to be like, hey, man, we want to run an RPO this week. He's like, yeah, coach, I got it. And the next thing you know, some linebacker like, I don't know, Nakobe Dean is going to be like, oh, let me knock this guy out because guess what? He's now a runner. He's not a quarterback. He's not safe in the pocket. So let it be natural. I mean, do they do RPO? Do they run with Russell Wilson? No, they don't.
I mean,
they let him naturally.
Once again, it's an organic thing. Yeah, when he has to, he does what he has to do. He's a good athlete, but he definitely looks to be a passer first. For sure.
And I don't want to. I know people are going to jump down my throat in the chat. I'm not comparing Russell Wilson in Dak Prescott. They are similar in certain ways on how they pass. I'm not saying one's a better passer, but if you're looking at their profile stats aside, right, and you're looking at abilities, Dak Prescott's abilities, if you took Dak Prescott and just put his name there and made him an avatar in Madden, you would be like, oh man, this guy reminds me a little bit of Russell Wilson minus the height and everything like that, right? So if he's like that, let him be that way, because what happens is then you get this RPO thing, and yeah, it's fun and dandy, and sure, Dak can be a weapon on the field and add that added dimension, but then what happens if he gets injured? Or what happens if he has to take a blow or he fumbles or something happens? I just think sometimes getting too cute, like a lot of these coordinators do, makes you a worse coordinator because, oh, here we are. We're at 2nd and 8. Let's run this RPO. Oh, we haven't worked on it all year. Bang, fumble. Ball is loose. Your quarterback's injured because, like I said, Nakobe Dean's come around and knocked his teeth in. And you were like, well, we wanted to get him to run more.
Well, yeah, and I just want to touch here on Coach's comment because I do agree, man, and that's going to be paramount for the Cowboys this season, man. Is getting Zeke back on track, man. You got to get him back to the Zeke of old, man. Last year was definitely a down year for him.
Well, let's talk about that. Because I think this offense is built differently now. And that's the problem. When Jason Garrett came in, was there, and they drafted a Zeke, they built the offense around Zeke Elliott and made Dak Prescott the non-focal point of the offense, right? Here, they changed it up with Kellen Moore, I think his name is, right? I think that's the coordinator's name. They wanted to get away from the archaic style of Jason Garrett, who, by the way, was Kellen Moore's protege, he brought him in. So it's technically an offense of Garrett and Kellen Moore. But my point is that I hate to say this, but they want to go back to that Jason Garrett offense of 2016 because that's when Dak Prescott, was had 20 touchdowns his rookie year, and then he also had 6 or 7 rushing touchdowns, and then Zeke had that beast of a year, and they went to the playoffs. Now, if you gave me that with a little bit more of Dak sprinkled in with the now his expectations because he's a better player, that's what you want to see. You want to see the 2016 version of the Cowboys with a little bit more passing yards from Dak, obviously.
All right, well, we got Kay McDonald here. He says he needs to run to be more successful. The talent at wide receiver is lacking, and a different dynamic will be needed.
Is it though? CeeDee Lamb's pretty good.
Lacking. CeeDee Lamb's pretty good. Michael Gallup's pretty good, and the guy from Pittsburgh is pretty damn good. The one they just got from Pittsburgh, Johnson. He's pretty damn good. So I'm not sure if I would say the talent is lacking at receiver. It's just a little different. It's a little different dynamic, but I don't think it's lacking. I feel like when he runs the football, he needs to. It needs to be, like I said, he's not a natural. To me, I don't consider Dak a natural running quarterback. Like Lamar Jackson's a natural running quarterback.
Yes,
Josh Allen is a natural running quarterback to me. I don't consider Dak Prescott like that, like those guys. I think Dak Prescott, it's more of a when he needs to, he's capable of doing it. Like I said, as opposed to kind of just trying to force the issue and make him a runner. But I just think that I do kind of disagree with you when you say their talent is lacking at wide receiver, because I think Michael Gallup is one of the most underrated talents in this league when he's healthy, and
right.
that is a problem. He is, because I'm not sure about his status going into the season or training camp for that matter, if he'll be ready to go for the Dallas Cowboys. He may start out on PUP actually.
Well, I look at Coach's comment, and he's saying something along the lines of Look at that Dak Prescott offense. Yes, if you build around Elliott, you will be the 2016 Jason Garrett offense with different concepts. The only difference between that offense and this one that I'm proposing is that the receivers will be moving across the field. They'll probably be doing more play action. I can see the Cowboys doing that. I don't. If I'm the Cowboy fan, I don't want him to run. If you want to put in RPOs, fine. Everyone's doing that now, but don't be like, all right, on this play we're going to do designed run. No, the RPO is a run pass option. Why do a lot of quarterbacks run the football in an RPO? Because of the keys. If the defensive end is crashing down, he would pitch it out to somebody else. Or if he's crashing down, you can say, okay, I'm going to pass it. That's why it's a run pass option. Whatever the defense is doing, you can do. But like you said, if you take a guy and say, listen, you're a pocket passer or a guy who can move around, and then say, okay, now go run. The guy just broke his ankle running. You know, I don't want to do that again. And then he put up great numbers his franchise season, and then he got paid. So do you really want to put this guy? I'm telling you, people, the rules change for a runner when you're a quarterback. The safety is in the pocket. To make him run because you want to make your offense dynamic, well, then you need to bring in better playmakers or make an offense that's tailored to your quarterback's strengths, not just like, well, you know, you're athletic and you can run. Let me just do that and add this dimension. No, sprinkle it in, change the pace, yes, but don't make it a feature. Sorry.
Oh, so yeah, I mean, he is going to be out till like November. I mean, that sounds about right from the time when he tore his ACL last year. That does sound probably about reasonable time when he may return. So that does make a difference. That does make a difference. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is good. Johnson is new to the team, but he's a good receiver coming over from Pittsburgh. But he's still new to the Cowboy offense, and he's been a little banged up in his mini during the spring so far as well. So he hasn't been getting that much work, honestly. So I mean, we'll see. We will see. But as far as the whole running thing goes, like I said, you really just got to figure out a way, I think, to really be able to feed Zeke, get him
To
going,
me,
man.
Tony Pollard's a better running back for this offense. That's just me. Because Tony Pollard gives him more juice, he gives him more passing ability, and he's very underrated as a runner. I think Zeke Elliott, like I said, was built for Jason Garrett's
I think
offense.
that offensive line.
Go ahead.
I think you got to find a way to get both of these guys going. I mean, I still believe in the talent of Ezekiel Elliott. I think he is still a talented running back.
Oh, no,
I do
yes.
agree that they did when Jason Garrett was here was a little different. Things were built more around him. But I think right now a lot of his struggles have a lot to do with the fact that the offensive line is not quite the same as it once was either. And them holes are just getting a little bit smaller, and teams are just getting hip to it in general. So
Well, yeah, and he's a bell cow back, right? A bell cow back needs the ball a lot,
absolutely.
needs to be a rhythm runner. Think of Derrick Henry. He's a bell cow back, I say, right? He's a guy that only gets better as the game goes on, not worse, right? But you take him out for a play or two here, and it halts that momentum. Now the defense can gather again and take a blow and be like, all right, now he's out the game. We can deal with Pollard. But for me, Pollard in crucial situations has done well for them. So we'll see. Like you said, like the guy said that they don't have receiver help. Well, you don't think Kellen Moore knows that? You don't think Kellen Moore is in the lab right now trying to create something that'll help his quarterback out? And if it's rolling out, like you said, maybe it's more screen routes. Maybe it's using Tony Pollard as more of a receiver and Ezekiel in the backfield. I'm just throwing things out there. These are NFL players and NFL coaches, and you believe that Dak Prescott can overcome one receiver not being good, right? And you don't think they're going to scheme up CeeDee Lamb? I mean, man, that kid is a beast. I hate to admit it, but it's a fact is fact. The boy can play.
Hey, what's going on in the chat? Big Play Slade, Wells, thank you for joining the chat. Good to see you guys out there, man. Coach Ed Gladney, Zeke is more of an inside zone runner, which adds to your RPO argument and play action.
Right. But so is Tony Pollard. He can spread you out. I mean, have we ever heard of the shotgun draw or that fake shotgun that they do? Like Tony Pollard, people need to understand, man. People are sleeping on Gallup, and people are sleeping on Tony Pollard. I know we don't always watch the Cowboys as Giant fans. Sometimes we're locked in, but if you watch around and what they do, those guys really work. They really have a collective group of offensive players that help out. They all do different roles, and it all works together. And the guy that helps that, whether you like him or not, is Dak Prescott. Now, do I believe sometimes they struggle? Yes, I think sometimes they struggle. Do I believe that he can win you games? Well, we'll see what happens, man. I mean, Zeke Elliott is not going to be a dinosaur. He's not on the bench. He's not like an Otis Anderson. But what I'm saying is the guy that I know that's got a little bit more juice is Tony Pollard. Why? Because Tony can do both things and both things well. He can catch the ball. He runs. Zeke doesn't necessarily not say he can't catch, but when you think of Zeke Elliott, do you think of a pass catcher? Do you see him getting many TDs in the receiving game? Not really. But you see Tony Pollard catching that 5-yard dump off and taking it 20 yards to the end zone. So for me, I can see a split back set, and that's, like I said, Elliott's going to be your bell cow. He's going to be your first down, second down, try to break it open kind of guy, and then Pollard's going to come in on 3rd and 5 and shorts and give you all that. So,
I mean, I agree. I mean, I like that combination of Pollard and Zeke. I mean, Zeke definitely does a lot more of the dirty work, the grimy, the inside running, get the tough yards where Pollard can come in and break it at any time, man. He's an explosive runner with the football when he has the ball in his hands. He's definitely not your average number 2 guy on a depth chart at running back.
he did.
Sure.
He did show me a little bit more juice and a little bit more power last year. I didn't think of him that much, but every time I watched him, he had a little bit fresher legs. There's a lot of tread on that Ezekiel tires. I think sometimes what we forget is that he gets worn down throughout the year, right? So it would probably be good for them to keep Pollard in the game a little bit more to give Zeke some blows so that when they get to November, December, and they need this guy when the cold weather starts up north and they're traveling to Philadelphia and Washington and New York, and you have a fresh Zeke Elliott, that's when he's going to have a very impactful season.
Yeah, you see K's comment up here, Pollard's also working in the slot right now in camp, which makes a lot of sense because he definitely is a dynamic player. But
we spoke about that. We said that. See, he moves outside and does things, many different matchups. And if you're smart, you'll put Zeke Elliott in the backfield and Tony Pollard out in the slot. So now you got both of them on the field at the same time.
And sorry to hear that you ain't been feeling well, Wales. But I hope you was feeling good enough to watch UFC 275 on Saturday night because it was awesome, brother. Hope you got to enjoy that, man. I know you're a big fan of the UFC. But back to football. But okay, Cowboys defensively now. I mean, last year they had a guy that was doing some crazy record-setting things back there in their secondary, Trayvon Diggs, man, with those interceptions, man, hit double-digit interceptions. Do you how you see a season playing out for a young man like that after coming off such a big year? Getting those turnovers.
I think he'll come back to earth a little bit. I think he'll still make some turnovers, but to have like 10 or 11's a lot. It really is. And I respect him for doing it. But the Giants had a guy named Stevie Brown do like 8 interceptions. The following year, he did nothing. He didn't do a damn thing. So, and now people know that he's going to make plays. So why are we going to target his side of the field? So, we'll see. We'll see how the defense comes to play. Like I said, that probably will be what carries them at the beginning while they're getting their offensive sea legs under them, right? And then you have go ahead.
I'm sorry. I mean, do you think they'll be able to generate a pass rush, losing a big time player like was it Randy Gregory they lost, right?
Yeah, I didn't think Gregory was that good to begin with, but who am I, right? So I think they'll generate a pass rush because they're going to probably build their defense now around Micah Parsons and basically have him be like a joker type of player where you can bring him in the blitz, the A gap. I think you still have Van Der Esch there. They still have DeMarcus Lawrence, right? And I think they brought in some players. I don't have their roster in front of me. Maybe somebody in the chat can say who their outside backer is, but their defense overall is predicated on the pass rush. And that's why Xavier Woods was so good or is that his name? Xavier Diggs, excuse me.
Diggs.
Yeah, sorry. I was thinking about the wrestler. They have the similar name. So what I'm saying is that's going to help out immensely. And so we'll see what happens. I don't think Randy Gregory was a total loss. You know what I mean? Like he was good, but he wasn't like, would you rather have Micah Parsons or Randy Gregory? I'd rather have
Micah Parsons, but I wouldn't mind having both of them as well. I mean, Michael Parsons. Since we got on that topic, I was going to bring him up next. Michael Parsons had a huge rookie season last year. Yes, I remind you, New York Giant fans, we could have been a New York Football Giant, but we chose to not pick him. But anyway,
Thanks for adding salt in the wound, Mac.
but anyway, Michael Parsons coming off a real huge rookie season last year. Do you think he has potential? Does he have legit potential for Defensive Player of the Year this year?
Interesting, because last time we talked, this guy was the next LT, and then somehow he fizzled out. I think he will have. I think he will be a good player for a long time. I think you might see him in Defensive Player of the Year, especially because he's at Dallas. Look at Darius Leonard, right? I know that's not the same comparison, but Darius Leonard's a linebacker that gets about 6 or 7 sacks a year, right? If you gave that to Micah Parsons and you did the same things that he did, that guy would be the AP Defensive Player of the Year. So I'm saying he's going to be up there. Do I agree that he will be there? I think he's going to come back down to earth. Still think he's going to be a good player. Still think he's going to terrorize us for years to come. But I think now he could be more dangerous because now he'll know more, right? Before he was green behind the ears. He didn't know a damn thing about NFL defense, and now he knows. So I'll give, you know what, Mac? I'll say yes. Yes, he will be in the conversation for Defensive Player of the Year.
Thanks for stopping in too, though, man. Get some rest, man. I probably will see you later. I'll probably at least be in the chat at least for that stream later on. But K. McDonald said he personally doesn't agree. The team learned that what value Parsons was at DN after 5 games, and I think the guy will be used more at DN this year. The guy had listed snaps at DN last year.
Well, listed snaps doesn't mean effective snaps. And if you go back and you look at those listed DN snaps, he didn't have as good of a time. Why? Because he was dealing with bigger guys hand in the dirt. Now, you put him off the ball and have him stand up and rush a lot better. You have him come up the middle, as he did a lot, blitzing through the A-gap. You're going to be a sack artist. Now, I know that they said it. Go look at those games that he played the end. He wasn't as impactful as he was when he played linebacker. So just to say that now he's going to just move to defensive end because he can do it doesn't mean that's his best position. Okay, just because a guy like Matthias Kunuk, I bring him up all the time in this comparison. The guy was drafted as a defensive end. In 2007, they lost. They had too many defensive ends. They had him playing defensive end. Michael Strahan came back, and you had Hugh Manure, you have Dave Tollefson, you had Justin Tuck, and you had Michael Strahan. Right? Those 4 guys. Where's Kiwanuka going to fit in? Oh, well, you know what? We don't have a strong side linebacker. Let's make him a linebacker. Right? So then that stunted his growth. Then guess what? The next year, Umanura blows at his knee. Where does he go? Back to defensive end. Right? So, and even he said that stunted his growth a little bit. So if you want him to be a D end, fine. But at 6'3", 245 pounds, and not being a defensive end in college, there's a difference, man. I'm telling you, muscle memory is everything in the NFL. That's like taking a boxer or a UFC fighter who's predominantly a right-handed fighter and now telling them to do with their left hand, or do everything left-handed. It's going to be a little awkward, a little change. Doesn't say they can't do it, but you have to take that adjustment. And that's how I look at football. If you take a guy who's predominantly doesn't play defensive end and then say, you know what, now you're going to play D end, that's a whole different set of rules that you need to learn that you have to unlearn.
I think I agree. I agree with you what you're saying. I just think
right there's Cade said it right there.
Yeah, now he will not become a DN because you don't limit his flexibility, but he will definitely be knocking on the door. Now, I agree in certain situations that you move him in there in certain situations. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean, like automatic pass rush downs. You want to get more pass rushers on the field, then you can maybe slide. Yeah, that's totally makes sense.
Cade is Coach Ed is right. They're going to utilize him everywhere, like a joker. Like I said, they're not going to just predominantly put him at end because guess who's at defensive tackle, offensive tackle? Usually the biggest guys. Evan Neal is 350 pounds. Okay, I would like to take him over Michael Parsons, 250 versus 350. Go.
It's like how we used to use Justin Tuck. Smooth Tuck all over the place, man. He never knew where he was coming from sometimes. So. I mean, Michael Parsons is a sensational talent, man. I would assume they figured it out last year. I can't assume they're going to act later this year. They're just going to drop the ball on that.
Well, they're going to get better. I mean, now he has him for a year. He'll know how to utilize him, his strengths and weaknesses. Like I said, Dan Quinn is not stupid. He was with that Legion of Boom team, in in Seattle. Then he moved over to Atlanta, and they had a decent defense over there, and they had some guys that could rush the passer. So I only think it's going to go up. If he's going to be defensive player of the year, he's better off not being D end. He's better off being utilized across many different positions.
Totally agree, man. All right, you got any more thoughts on the Dallas Cowboys, man? Any more final thoughts on what's going on with these guys in training camp, man, and mini camps right now? Like I said, the receivers are a little banged up. You got Washington dealing with some hamstring and foot issues. You got Tolbert, the rookie Jalen Tolbert dealing with a hammy issue.
Yeah, the
You
rich get
got
rich.
CD Lamb dealing with a little hammy issue. I mean, I don't think any of these are looking like nothing that's going to be keep these guys out of training camp, being ready for training camp. But just little things, just to
Right. Well, they're
have you
explosive receivers. They're explosive guys. That's why they have the hammies. Probably because they're practicing on field turf, which is terrible for your body. But hey, that's a story for another day. But my last things
definitely
for the
agree.
Cowboys are eat dirt, Cowboys. Eat dirt. That's all I have to say. As a Giant, I have to put my Giant fan hat on here, and I just have to say eat dirt. Right. But as an analyst on this show, I'm not worried about their receiving core, and we'll just see what happens. And I think them and the Eagles will be at the end of it really fighting for that division title.
Yeah, I mean, right now, as things stand right here in June, it's looking like it's going to be, to me personally, like it's going to be Eagle Cowboy division, one of those two teams. I think on paper right now and through the offseason, the Eagles have kind of maybe took a little step above the Cowboys, but I don't think by that much of a significant amount. I just think right now on paper they may be a little bit better than the Cowboys, but the Cowboys are still a very good football team, and they're going to be a force to be reckoned with this season. So I think as things stand right now, those are the two teams to beat in the NFC East. And these next two teams that we're going to talk about, starting with the Washington Commanders, are looking up at them trying to catch up. So
Oh,
how the
Washington.
Washington Commanders? A lot of interesting news coming out of Washington training camp, man.
Oh my
Mini
God.
camp. I mean mini camp. And
There's dump.
we'll start off with one of the biggest on the field things. With their absolute best player on their offense, their stud wide receiver Terry McLaurin holding out for a new contract. And what's the significance of this? Do you feel the significance of this is?
It's huge. It's huge. Because one, he needs the repetition with Carson Wentz. Two, he deserves to be paid like he deserves to be paid the way he deserves to be paid, and that's like a star bona fide receiver. So I think it's pretty sad that he's not there. I mean, but he wants to get paid, and I don't blame him. Terry McLaurin's done so much for that franchise in the few years that he's been there. He's made them relevant. He's played with quarterbacks who you and I are probably just as good as, right? And he's made them look good. And he's had big plays in a lot of games. And I remember a touchdown against the Giants where I don't know who it was Landon Collins or somebody, where he caught the ball between two defenders and ran for a touchdown. Why? Because our defenders decided to play patty cake as he went by. So for me, you pay that man. You pay him and you make him part of whatever it is you're doing with Carson Wentz. I mean, I don't really know where that guy's going or how that guy's doing anything, but pay him.
Look, it's ridiculous. There's no excuse for him not to already be paid.
Right.
They should have probably taken care of Terry McLaurin last year. You know what I mean? It shouldn't even be coming down to this, where he's now having to hold out. Terry McLaurin has proved his worth to this football team. Like you said, who are these quarterbacks he's been playing with throughout his first 4 years in the league? Who are these guys? It's a joke. He was a third round draft pick and came in and kicked the damn door in, and he has been an absolute stud. And he's not only the best wide receiver on the Washington Commanders, he's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. So it's just no excuse for them to be messing around with these negotiations. They need to get it done, make it happen, and get that man back on the field, and keep your best players happy. That's what you need to do. I mean, it just is what it is. This man has more than earned his money. There's
Isn't
no
that a winning
excuse.
philosophy, though, Mac? Isn't that a what we call a winning philosophy? Keeping your employees happy. I mean, that happens at any job. You know, your job says, "Hey, we're going to give you Christmas bonuses this year," and you're going to be like, "Hell yeah!" You know, if they don't give you Christmas bonuses this year, you're going to be like, "What the hell?" You know what I mean? I busted my ass. I'm here on time. I don't miss days. Right? That's what this guy has done. Like you said, with dumpster fire quarter. Tyler Henneke. Okay, sorry. Alex Smith broke his leg in 7,000 places. You know. Whoever else they tried out there, I don't know. There was two guys, Kyle Allen and then Case Keenum, I think. Like, oh my God, just talking about those names gives me heartburn.
I mean, I've been hearing good things from like Curtis Samuel and mini camps, but it's the spring, and so you know how I feel
Curtis
about that. It
Samuel.
doesn't. Yeah, I'm hearing promising things, but I mean, Logan Thomas is also out with no real timetable of his return either. That they're starting tight end, so
Well,
like he's going to definitely start the season off on pup or injured reserve maybe.
the guy I'm more worried about for them is Chase Young. You know, because McLaurin's
He's
healthy and everything will be fine with him. But Chase Young here is going on the pup list, and that's not good. That's never good. I know he tore his ACL in November. But to be on the pup list, that means if he's not ready, he has to be on the pup list for a long time. So that's a move I probably will be watching when they pull him off, because there's a certain deadline for camp where if he's on the pup list, he can't come off for like 10 weeks or something like that.
well,
So,
they've already said he's more likely starting the training camp on pup.
right.
They've
Well,
already all but said that.
well, what I'm saying is like pup list can carry over into the season. So
Oh yeah,
in,
absolutely.
in training camp, they have a designation where if you get him off that list before, I don't know, August 31st or whatever, he can then be on the eligible for the roster, but you'll have to cut somebody. But then if you keep him over that, he has to at least be eligible for, I think, 10 weeks. He can't play. He can't even be, on your roster. So that's something I'm going to monitor going forward, seeing how that leg heals up. And I'm sure he's going to come off, but still, nothing's a guarantee these days.
K. McDonald, man. Terry needs to get out of there and use them prime years with a good quarterback. I don't like Washington, but it will be fun to see him play with a decent quarterback. I 100% agree that Carson Wentz will be the best quarterback he's played with in his career so far.
I think you like his second comment though. I think you like his second.
Oh no, I like that too. I was gonna get to that in a minute. But I was gonna also say, but that's still no excuse for Washington not to pay this man. Washington still needs to pay this man and give him what he's worth. Because, like you just said, he's low-key the best receiver in the East. 100% agree with that comment. I will still give A.J. Brown the edge over him, but that's apples
It's
and
a slight edge, man.
That's a slight edge. It's not like it's by Terry
But the
McLaurin
thing is, like, they're two different guys almost, right? A.J. Brown's a physical guy. McLaurin's physical with speed. I mean, hands down, you're right, Mac. Pay him, please. I'm not even a Washington fan, and I want the man paid. You there? Did you freeze? Well, sorry, I can't hear you. I think you froze.
Yeah.
So,
okay, I'm back on right. Okay, my fault. I don't know. I'm having all kinds of issues with the internet right now. But what was that? Lost my train of thought. Okay, he was a third round pick. He wasn't drafted to be like come in and beat a man, but he became the man.
Right, Deebo Samuel's the same way.
Became the man on bad football teams. I mean, let's face it, they haven't been good teams. They won the division a couple of years ago at 6-10 or 7-9 or whatever that record was that year. But let's face it.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
I mean, but let's face it, man. And exactly, Coach said, Terry McLaurin deserves his Brinks truck filled. If anybody,
maybe two.
Anybody needs to be pulling up the training camp in a Brinks truck. It's Terry McLaurin. You know what I mean? Like Jalen Ramsey did a couple years ago.
Yeah, he's classier than Jalen Ramsey. He ain't gonna be that bold about it.
But speaking of this Washington Commander offense, man, they did make another key addition to their offense this offseason. We've been talking about him a little bit already, and that is at the quarterback position, Carson Wentz, who people, he's been very scrutinized the last couple of years, but let's face it, he is an upgrade to this Washington Commanders offense. He is an upgrade to the quarterbacks they've had over the course of the last X amount of years. So you can feel however you want about Carson Wentz, but he is definitely they did improve at the quarterback position by acquiring Carson Wentz, even though I felt like they gave up quite a bit for him.
Oh, yes. Yes, they did. They gave up the farm for this guy, which means he's probably going to be here for a while. The only thing I have about Carson Wentz is like, really, why did he leave the situation in Indianapolis? I mean, I understand that he was made some boneheaded plays, but they said because of Frank Reich, that was going to be his guy, right? And you can't even make it with the coach that you loved so much. So here he is in the dumpster fire that is Washington. And he is the best quarterback that Terry McLaurin will have played with. And I do believe we can't just sleep on him because he's not as bad as he looks, but he's not as good as he looks either, right? He's one of those guys that is almost like a coach killer.
He still has playmaking ability, legitimate playmaking ability. He has demonstrated that last year in Indianapolis that he does still have legitimate playmaking ability.
And he's also a bonehead, as demonstrated in Indianapolis, where he's about to get sacked. Yeah, is trying to take a sack and is like getting spun around, throwing the ball up in the air and stuff. Yeah, he is there. He's one of those guys. Like I say, I call him a coach killer because you're going to say, oh, man, he's got all the talent. I can fix him. He was the number 1 overall pick. He's got the zip. He's got the pizzazz that I need. And then he goes out there and he's costing you games because he's, doing boneheaded things, right? So for me, that's how I look at it. I think he'll help them. I think we can't sleep on like Washington. You can't be like, you know what? They don't have anybody. No, Carson Wentz will make some throws. Carson Wentz will make some plays. Terry McLaurin will, knows his. This is why you need to pay Terry McLaurin because he knows right now he's about to break out. He's got the best quarterback he's played with in his time in the NFL. It's time for him to get paid. He knows it, and he's like, if I'm going to be here with Carson Wentz, we're going to do some things. So get him in there so you guys can have probably a dynamic duo, right? And not to mention they have the Diami Brown kid who's pretty good, okay? And they drafted a guy in the draft this year from Penn State. I forget what the kid's name is. At number 15 or something like that overall. So now
Jahad Dotson, right?
Right. And the top 10 receiver, Curtis Samuel, that they have in. If you guys don't know, we had a debate about this on Premium Takes, and Curtis Samuel's name was brought up. So, but they have playmakers all over the field, track stars. So Carson Wentz is not going to have to do much in terms of just turning and throwing the football to a guy. And when you got a guy that's competent and has had some success, remember this guy was dominating the league in 2017. Like people forget that he was damn near the MVP. If he doesn't blow out his knee, he's probably the consensus MVP of the league.
He would have been the MVP if he would have been able to finish the season.
Right. And so that ability just doesn't go away, right? It's just the teams that you play on. So I think he's going to really improve that offense going forward.
In the chat, what's going on, Cole's Cowboys? Thanks for stopping in, man.
You just missed our Cowboys take.
You missed us covering the Cowboys. We already moved on from them boys, man. But we wasn't too harsh on y'all, man. We was you know what I mean, keeping it real on her, as you know, to see the title, note the title, the real deal, NFC East Round-Up. You know what I mean? So we were showing y'all a little love, you know what I mean, keeping it real, you know what I mean. But thanks for stopping in the chat, bro. Appreciate you, man. But yeah, defensively, man, this week they had a little visitor in minicamp, man. I shouldn't say a little visitor; he was a really large visitor in Washington training camp this week, coming to visit them big boy, them defensive linemen. Warren Sapp stopped in Washington minicamp.
Really, Warren Sapp doesn't even have any history with that team.
To share a little bit of wisdom, I think he did finish his career there, bro. I think that where he played his last.
I thought it was Oakland.
I think after Oakland, he played like a year or two in Washington, and then before he retired, man. I think.
Oh, well, I don't care about Warren Sapp, so even though he was good, I didn't follow the tail end of his career. But I looked at
those were years that were meaningless for him. He was just looking to get paid for a couple more years.
Yeah. Hey, I can still make money. Okay, great.
But
oh, you didn't miss much? You missed a ton, Cole. You missed a ton. You have no idea what we said about your Cowboys. Hell, we could have picked him to win the division, bro. You need to go back and listen to us. Tell you didn't miss much. That's why your Cowboys are going to miss winning the division. Ooh.
But yeah, so Warren Sapp visited with the Cowboys. I mean, the Redskins, the Commanders defensive linemen this week in minicamp, spreading a little wisdom. I mean, they're already really good up front.
Yes, they are.
They probably don't need much more motivation, but
Jonathan
I
Allen's a big
mean,
boy, man. He is big.
yeah,
Jack Del Rio is their defensive coordinator, and he is a decent defensive coordinator. He had some decent defenses in I forget where he was the coordinator. I think Minnesota. He was the coordinator for a while there, and then he was the coach of Jacksonville. Their defense was pretty good. So I mean, and in Pittsburgh, not Pittsburgh, New Orleans. So he's got some horses now. He got some horses, and they want that kid they drafted last year, the linebacker. I don't know. I forget his name is the guy in the middle. Davis, I think his name was. Cade putting words in our mouth. We did not say that, but that's okay.
We just said that they have a legit chop.
Right. We didn't say they were going to win. Go back and check out our NFC East preview show from a few months back. That'll tell you who we think about them Cowboys, okay? Cade, Cowboy fan, love you, man. I mean, not Cade, Cole, you Cowboy fan, love it, though. But anyways, what I was finishing up with is like, they got some good players on that defensive side. And that Davis kid was a good linebacker. They said that he's going to come into his own. I know they got rid of Landon Collins, he was a liability anyways on offense. And he was very limited, so that's why you got rid of him. And I think they drafted a couple corners as well. So they'll be in it. I mean, the Redskins, Ron Rivera has got that team always fighting, for a team. And now that they have a decent quarterback, I can see them trying to do a little bit more defensively.
Now, like I mentioned earlier about Logan Thomas being out there starting tight end, I've actually read a little something about this kid. They got this guy in camp, John Bates, who hasn't been known most of his career as a receiving tight end, but they said his hands are sneaky good, man. He's been making some noise down there in Commander minicamp, getting a lot of extra reps since Logan Thomas is on his sideline with the torn ACL still.
Well, so if I'm a Commander fan, I'm excited, just like Giants with Daniel Bellinger. But again, you're playing against practice. Most of your catches happen in practice because the guys are not being able to do things fully on you. But the fact that you're not dropping passes, that's good. I hope that they do well. But it seems like the Redskins are a team that can make tight ends decent, right? They had Ricky Seals-Jones. They had a couple other guys there. So, it is what it is. We'll see how he holds up come training camp.
And one more quick question about that. Do you feel like this Jack Del Rio situation is going to affect maybe how his players respond to him? Maybe look at him a little different, feel some type of way, or you think it's just going to blow over and these guys are going to be professionals and go out there and do it?
I think they really don't care, even though Jonathan Allen kind of already proved that he's behind his coach, right? So I think you can't always control what's being said. But I think they're going to ride and strap up for that guy come Sunday, right? Because at the end of the day, you're getting paid to do what you're going to do. Those guys know what Jack Del Rio is, and I don't think, I'm not going to comment on what he said or how he said it. I'm just saying, to answer your question, I think they're going to ride with him. I don't think it's going to alienate them. I don't think they're going to, because if they would have fired him already. But they didn't.
I agree. I agree with you. What you take. I think. At the end of the day, you'll stay up. They were, Lord, they would have been. His comments were a bit insensitive, but they weren't like racist comments or anything drastic or crazy like that either. So I feel like at the same time, I feel like they'll step up when it's time to get those pads on, and they'll play for their coach, man.
Yeah, I mean, look, right. This is not the first time a coach has said something. It won't be the last time a coach has said something. So to me, it's like, what are you going to do come Sunday? Are you going to worry about what he said in friggin' June? Nobody cares. Just go out and win football games. Who cares? Let the owner, who by the way is not the beacon of a good person either. So how can he really be upset? Because guess what? He's involved in a sex scandal with cheerleaders with the Washington Commanders. So, I mean, that whole, like I said, the whole organization's a dumpster fire. The only thing that I like about that team is Ron Rivera. I secretly wanted him to be the coach when Gettleman was fired, but they obviously didn't like each other, hence why Ron Rivera went down to the Commanders. But I thought at the time he was the guy that could have came in here and turned it around if you gave him a GM that he liked. But he's down in Washington right now. And he's a guy that, Ron Rivera, you know his history. He's a military man. He's a very disciplined guy. He's fought through cancer. He's a tough son of a bitch. So, as much as he's playing for the Commanders, I have a little bit of respect for that man because of what he's done, what he's been through, and how that's going to translate to his football team fighting on Sundays.
No doubt, indeed. Much respect for Ron Rivera, man. Great football coach, great football mind. He was a great football player back in the day. If y'all don't know, back in them '80s from the Chicago Bears, he was part of the Super Bowl winning team in Chicago back in 1985. So yeah, much love to Ron Rivera. And if you got any more final comments on the Washington Commanders, or are you ready to
Washington Commanders? You can eat dirt just like the Cowboys.
Move on to the show, baby. New York Giants, and there's been a lot going on for the New York Giants all season, man.
It's been nonstop, actually.
Yeah, it's been a lot of things changed, a lot of things different, a lot of new faces, and a whole new coaching regime, man. GM starting from almost damn near from the bottom up. Couple things the same. We're going to be rolling out that same quarterback at least for one more year.
Oh, you had to bring it up.
We'll talk about him a little more in depth because I do want to go into him a little bit because earlier on your stream, Adam, you made me realize something that I want to talk about here a little bit.
Wow. Somebody actually listened and they got something. We'll see what this is, people. I have not told him anything, so I'm looking forward to finding out what this is.
But Saquon Barkley, man, looking to bounce back and
get his career back
on track. Get his career back on track. He's looking great so far. They're doing a lot of cool things. I'm hearing with him down in minicamp, man, setting them up for success. And hopefully, if this offensive line can gel together, man, things will get a little bit better. Right now, all I'm looking for right now is just the New York Giants to look respectable again, man. Right now, we just got to get going, headed in the right direction. I'm not expecting. You can't expect a 4-13 team to just come out this year and all of a sudden we're Super Bowl contenders. All of a sudden, it would be great if we were, but that's just not a realistic expectation. I want to see this team compete again and just look good, man, and it look competitive and not go out there week in and week out and embarrass themselves like they did a year ago.
Oh boy, the year of change, so to speak. We won't have to rehash that. I'm excited about Barkley. I've always been excited about Barkley. I know people are like, well, Adam, you said to trade him. Yeah, because sometimes you got to get rid of some good stuff to get better, right? But he's here, and I've always liked what he can bring to the table. Because guess what? I know he's good. You know why I know he's good? Because he played on a crappy offensive line, and still, that's right, and still produced. Okay,
almost 2,000 all-purpose yards.
Right. So and even Mike Francesa was saying he was getting hit 5 yards in the backfield. Okay, but he still dominated. That tells me what? He's a good player. Okay, I was about to put the Steve Austin thing. You know what I mean? Go what all the time, but that's what it means to me. Okay, and I want people to see you've got to look at talent of the individual. You can't just rely on other things, because when you do that, you don't see the forest through the trees, people, because that's what we do with players. We don't see, even if, like you said, Mac, Terry McLaurin has had a bad deal, but we still know that Terry McLaurin is a dominant player, even though he's on a crappy team. Why? Because talent will rise to the top. It doesn't matter. Do you think they're saying, hey, we're waiting for a flash to come out of Terry McLaurin? No, because they know what he is. That's why he's in contract talks right now. Barkley, we know how good he is. Even Barkley knows how good he is. So this guy is going to come in here, and you already know if you get a healthy Barkley, you know what you're going to get. You're going to get damn near close to that rookie record rushing title that he had. What you don't know is people who don't want to look at the individual, want to blame the other parts of the team, which is fine. So for me, I hope they use him in a wheel route. That's what I hear. I don't want to give away too much because even the beat writers can't give away too much. But he's doing a lot of stuff in the slot and in the receivers. And this is something we haven't seen out of our running back. And he did a little bit last year. I mean, the Saints game comes to mind when you think of that, right? Didn't he have a big catch or a big touchdown in the Saints game?
Absolutely.
Right? So you could see what he's done and how he could be utilized as a weapon. And yes, he is going to have a decent run game, which is going to help the quarterback out, right? So the best friend that Daniel Jones could have is a great and healthy Saquon Barkley. And if you can utilize him in different ways to spread the defense out because what Barkley does is if you want to have Matt Breida in the backfield, you could run maybe a dump play, maybe a screen play, maybe a draw handoff, and you have Matt Breida who now can have his choice of defenders because they're spread out because you have 5 wides and Barkley's one of your wide receivers. You have a linebacker on him and the spacing goes. So there's many things that I can't wait to see with Barkley in the offense.
Absolutely, man. You get Barkley in space, he's one of the most dangerous offensive weapons in the league. I mean, if you get him in open space, it's just it can be very, very dangerous for defenses. But let's go ahead into Daniel Jones real quick, man. And I was talking about listening to your stream earlier, and I've been listening to you the whole time and how your views on Daniel Jones. And I've been staying kind of in the middle of this because I just he's the quarterback. It is what it is. I can't do anything to change that. Still can't, obviously, but right. I understand 110% where you come from and with your point, and I think a lot of people misconstrue what you're saying. You're not acting like you're not saying you're not going to support the quarterback for the New York Giants. What you're saying is that the guy is just not good,
right?
And it doesn't, and it doesn't matter that he all the things people keep saying he hasn't had this, he hasn't had that. But you still can measure if a guy is good or not. Like Justin Herbert, his rookie season, he didn't play on a good Chargers team, but you knew the kid was good.
Right.
You knew he was awesome. Josh Allen had a rough rookie season in Buffalo, and it wasn't that great statistically for him his rookie season, but you still knew he was good.
Right.
You could still see that he was good.
I mean,
so it's like even people like to bring up the Pat Mahomes Super Bowl situation where his line was all broke down and it was a rough day for the Kansas City Chiefs a couple years ago against the
Buccaneers. But they're still in that game though.
But Patrick Mahomes was so good that he still kept them in that game. Yeah, I mean, as far as competing, as from a competition standpoint, so. That's what I think people are misconstruing. It's not right. It is what it is. After 3 years, because I was on the Daniel Jones bandwagon for like the first couple years. I was going with all the excuses. But after last year, it's like, okay, enough is enough. The kid is just not showing you enough that he really is legitimately the guy.
Right.
I mean, it just that's the whole point. It's not that I don't want to see him succeed, because I would love to see him succeed in a New York Giant uniform. He's the quarterback for the New York Giants.
Right.
But he's just not showing me enough. I haven't seen enough to have any more belief that he will succeed. He hasn't given me that confidence to believe that he's going to be the guy long term going forward.
Right, and I know people are polarized by this, right? Because God forbid, criticizing Daniel Jones, is like you're besmirching Jesus or something like that, or your kids or something like that. But what I'm trying to bring out is, and this is something that I've been wanting to, I don't really like to discuss much, but what I'm saying is, when I brought up that Justin Herbert thing, or the Matthew Stafford comparison, or the Deshaun Watson comparison from the season that he played, those guys were good. You didn't have to say, well, no one's going in the Texans. Well, Deshaun Watson had a horrible season, 4,800 yards and 33 touchdowns. Man, I wish he didn't do all that. No, he did everything he needed to do for his team to win. And as they said in some podcasts, well, it's a team game. Yes, you're only as good as your team, but if you're part of the reason your team's winning, then why not, right? Matthew Stafford wasn't the reason the Detroit Lions were losing. Deshaun Watson's not the reason the Texans were losing. Okay. But you saw how good their talent was in the chaos. You're like, wow, if we get this guy a line, or wow, with Daniel Jones, you see flashes. Flashes doesn't mean he's good. Flashes just mean he has a good game against the right opponent. He hasn't beaten anybody worth his salt, right? Nothing. He has 2 comeback wins in his history. We're making this guy seem like Joe Montana. 3,000 yards. You know what Justin Herbert threw for in his rookie year? Almost 4,800. Shattering records.
That's like the point I'm making. He was not on, like I said, people act like he played on some amazing Chargers team. That team wasn't that good, man. That team was not that good. They were getting beaten, getting the hell beaten out of them, but it wasn't because of Justin Herbert.
Right.
I mean, he's the quarterback of the team, but it wasn't his fault that this team's, like you said, their defense couldn't stop anybody.
Right.
It just wasn't his. He can't. Those are things that were out of his control.
Let me ask you this question, Mac.
What's going on, Philly B?
How many times do you sit back and watch Daniel Jones and feel comfortable that he's going to go down and score? Your hesitation is what is my point. Yeah. My point is, you see Justin Herbert, Charger fans are let's giddy up, baby. We're gonna put it in the end zone. Giant fans are let's hope we get a first down. Let's you know what I mean. Let's hope we don't blow it here. Let's hope we don't throw an interception. Let's hope he holds on to the football. Right. The mindset is different, and I understand because people want to believe that he's good. Sometimes you want to believe something, and if you believe it enough, it'll become true. Like me, I was a Giant fan. I tried to manifest Dave Brown being good. At the end of the day, Dave Brown was not good. Okay, he just wasn't. He flashed too. There are games where Dave Brown had a couple games where you're like, oh man, but you knew at the end of the day he was not good. Joe Montana, same thing. You go watch Joe Montana's first years. He was not on great teams, but you knew what they knew? That he was good. Okay?
Damn good.
And ended up being really good. You know what I'm saying? Like we look at it like this. Tom Brady is the exception to every rule because Tom Brady, they had no idea how good he was, and they put him in a system that worked.
Yeah.
Right. Mac, you just said it. He's not even close to Herbert, right? So if he's not close to Herbert and you can get possibly a Herbert next year's draft, I'm not worried about it, right? Now, everybody was mad at me because like Mac is right. They misconstrued because I'm a loudmouth, right? So you want to be, when you hear a loudmouth person, sometimes you don't listen to what they say. You just want to out yell the guy. You're like, oh, this guy's yelling at me. I'm going to yell back at him. Ha, ha, ha. Although he makes a great point. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't see it the same way, right? We don't see it because it's more of, hey, this guy likes to yell. And he's not a guy that, people don't like yellers. Let's be honest. When you get passionate and you get a little swole, people are like, oh, this guy's talking at me. No, I'm not talking at you. I'm like the Cookie Monster, man. Cookie Monster's nice, but he's got that rubble type shit going on. That's me. You might as well just call me AC the Cookie Man because that's how I talk, loud and crazy. So when I'm talking about Daniel Jones, I'm trying to give you a viewpoint of what I'm looking at. Because yes, I know the offensive line sucked. Yes, I know the offensive coordinator sucked and everything like that. But Sam Darnold had the same issues. Guess what? Sam Darnold left his situation, went to a new situation, and guess what? Sam Darnold still sucks.
Still sucks.
Right.
Okay. Coles Cowboys. I'm gonna get to your comment in 1 second. What's going on, NYG22? Thanks for stopping in, bro. But okay, I appreciate you for winding the video too. First of all, my brother, I really good look on that. But Mississippi State and college. See, that's college. He's a good athlete. There's no denying that. I'm not questioning his athletic ability. And he might have been more of a scrambler in Mississippi State. But this is the NFL. Defensive linemen, defensive ends, linebackers are all faster at this level. He's not that guy at this level. At this level, he's a quarterback that can run, he's mobile, he can avoid pressure if need be, but he's not a running quarterback. He's not Lamar Jackson.
I'll bring this out to you like this. This is how we're going to play this game. We're going to play this game. Cole, I hope you're listening. You're listening? You're sitting down? Because we're about to play a game. Hey, Mac, let me ask you a question. When I ask you about running quarterbacks, I'm going to throw a name out there. You tell me runner or not. Lamar Jackson, what do you think when you think of Lamar Jackson?
Oh, he's an absolute runner.
When you think of Randall Cunningham, what do you think?
He's an absolute runner.
Right. When you think of Michael Vick, what do you think?
Absolutely. You know exactly what I think.
Right.
For
Okay.
running.
So what do you think when you see Russell Wilson?
No, Rocky Russell Wilson is a pocket passer that can run.
Ah, there we go. What do you think of Dak Prescott?
A pocket passer that can run.
Okay, so we played the game. Mac, you've won $100,000. You are the new champion of the Adam Costas QB game. So if we put those things up there and we do this blind test and we just ask you these questions and just say, what do you think when you see Dak Prescott? And Mac, you just said, I think he's a pocket passer that can run. Then boom, you have your answer. Okay, I don't care what he's done in college. Guess what? Dave Brown used to run around in college. Does that make him a running quarterback when he came into the NFL? No, the athletes aren't the same. And he hasn't done it the same way. Is he a red zone threat? Yes. Dak Prescott needs to run more when he's in the red zone. If you tell me that I agree with. That I agree with. When they're down inside the red zone and you want to do a QB sneak 5 yards out, that's where I need him.
Absolutely. And like in college, he's running more because you don't have consistently defensive ends that can run 4.5 40s. You know what I mean? And consistently in college, you get that at the NFL level. So it's just a whole different ball game, man.
Well, he doesn't have Chase Young. He doesn't have Chase Young or Kayvon Thibodeau chasing him down every week when you're playing Mississippi State, right? I get it. I get what you're saying, Cole, or Cole, the Giant fan. I think that the read option in the red zone, yeah, that's different than being a running quarterback. What a running quarterback to me is, I can take Lamar Jackson at the 10-yard line of my own 10-yard line. I'm in the negative 10-yard line inside my own red zone, inside my own goal line. Okay, Lamar Jackson can take it to the house in an instant. He can take it to the house from 50 yards out. He doesn't need to. Dak Prescott's not that guy where I'm saying, he's going to run the football. He's going to run this for 50 yards for a touchdown. You know what I mean? The RPO worked for Daniel Jones every once in a while. Throwing those in there, that's fine. I get it. I understand it. But we've got to make this was a great discussion on AK's podcast. He said, what's the difference between a scrambler and a runner? And I think this is what we need to get into. When I think of a scrambler, I think of Steve Young. And he was ahead of his time. Okay, if he were in this league right now, he'd probably be the best running quarterback or scrambling quarterback there is. But he didn't do it because he had to. He wanted to pass the football. He just saw an opening and exploited it and said, "Let me get as many yards as I can." Right. So that's what I think of. When I think of Russell Wilson, I think the same thing as you. I don't think he runs because he's like, oh, let me go get 50 yards in this play. He runs, if you watch him, to get the first down and reset the play or get as much yards as he can on that play and slide. They don't do that because they don't want their $1 million quarterback to come around the end and, oh, look, there's Chase Young, who happens to be in a bad mood, and he's going to take it all out on Dak Prescott, who, by the way, has no protection when he becomes a runner.
Yeah, facts. Daniel Jones never – Blue City Empire Sports. If Daniel Jones never trips and he made a touchdown, he would be the talk of the town. I don't know, man.
It would have been a great play, but, he's a gift. The guy's a dork, okay? Anything he does is going to be a gift. That thing is gift. That's an 80-yard run. That's not as bad as the butt fumble, but it's right up in there in football follies, okay? I don't care what anybody says. That, he was running. What happened is he, like someone said, he was running too fast and didn't realize how fast he was running, right? And his legs were like, oh, man, and he just, when you get caught out of nowhere, when you fall and nowhere, he didn't have to keep running fast. He could have just slowed down. He was 20 yards ahead of the last defender. He could have just, how some hot dogs do it, some hot dog running backs, they'll slow it down and they'll trot and they'll do a dance in the end zone. Daniel Jones is so like, I'm, just like can't stop running, he's just bumbling idiot,
Okay, NYG 22. Running quarterbacks look to run first, then pass. Pocket passers look to pass first, then run. Simple as that. It's simple as that. And I'm going to go back up to Miz's comment up here. Donovan McNabb, another great example of that. McNabb was another great athlete, had all the ability in the world to run, but he definitely was a pocket passer that used his legs only when needed. You know what I mean?
And guess what happened when he used his legs? He had the same thing happen to him that Dak Prescott did. He broke his ankle. So you want to expose guys to more hits. That's what's going to happen. I hope the Cowboys invested in a nice backup quarterback, because that's what's going to happen. You people don't understand. You need to listen what I'm saying. They don't protect quarterbacks when they become runners. So to add them in the RPO or make them run is exposing them to unnecessary hits. Why do you think Tom Brady never gets injured? Because he's in the pocket. Every rule applies to him. The old man has lead for feet. If you look at his feet, they look like he has 2 blocks on his feet. So he moves around the pocket. If he gets hit, guess what they're doing? Flag, 15 yards. If he's running outside the pocket and he gets drilled, guess what? It's all right. I mean, look at Cam Newton. Cam Newton's a prime example of everyone that wants to look at a running quarterback, okay? You want to look at a running quarterback, and I'm sorry I'm going long in here, Mac, but if you look at a running quarterback, Cam Newton's the epitome of that, right? What happened to Cam Newton? He ran, he took hits, and guess what? He tore his labrum. He hurt every part of his body, and he's not the same guy anymore. He's not as dynamic anymore. And that's because when you run the football with your quarterback and you take hits, you're going to get exposed to certain things, and that's what happens.
Well, the thing about Cam Newton was he was emphatically a running quarterback, the definition of a running quarterback. And like Adam said, them injuries caught up to him. He tried to convert himself to a pocket passer for the most part, and clearly that did not work out. And now, unfortunately, Cam Newton's career looks like it's at an end. I mean, nobody's lining up trying to sign Cam Newton. He hasn't officially retired, but no one is banging down his door. So,
what about Kyler Murray? Kyler Murray. Okay, here's what I'm going to say about Kyler Murray.
What's going on, Eric Seabrook, man? Good to see you in the chat, bro.
When Kyler Murray drops back, he's not looking to run. He's reading the field. Look at Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson, his job is this. His coach goes, look, if the first and second read aren't there, take off. Right? That's what's being said in his headset. If 1 or 2 is not there, use your legs. Right? Kyler Murray is getting, if 4 is not there. So if he's 1, 2, 3, 4 is not there, then you run. You know what I mean? I'm not going to just look at a guy and say because he's this color or he's this height or that height. No, you got to watch the play on the field. Okay? Kyler Murray's a baseball player. So he's like a Russell Wilson, who was also a baseball player, right? They're not looking to run to get 70 yards. They're looking to run to extend plays, to get downfield and have broken plays. What did Russell Wilson do a lot of? When he rolled out and he breaks the tackle and he's scrambling to his right or he's scrambling to his left and the field opens up, guess what happens? The guys downfield get open and he throws them a dime for a touchdown because of all that movement from the defense. Lamar Jackson got exposed in the playoff game against Tennessee, where they basically said, all right, Lamar, we're going to stop you from running. Now pass on us. All
right, let's get back a little bit to New York Giant minicamp stuff, man. Talk. And all right, we were talking about quarterbacks. Okay, we know we got Tyrod Taylor backing up Daniel Jones. Do you see any chance that Daniel Jones actually does squander this opportunity and maybe we see some Tyrod Taylor on the field this season?
Do you want my real honest opinion or do you want me to?
I want your real honest opinion. This is the real deal. NFC East Round-Up. Let's go, baby.
I do believe you will see Tyrod Taylor at some point this season, whether it's via injury, because Daniel Jones hasn't remained healthy at all in any of his seasons. That's one thing he's been consistently good at, is being injured. Okay, so that's one thing I can pigeonhole. And the other thing is I think Daboll is not going to have the same leash as the other quarterbacks do. I think if he's struggling in a game, you might see him be pulled or benched and say, hey, listen, sit down, get your head right, and we're going to finish the game off with Tyrod Taylor. So those are my two scenarios to which I think you'll see Tyrod Taylor this season.
That works. And how about receivers, New York Giants receivers, man? Who do you expect to see from this group this year? I figure we got 4. We got 4 guys that are locks to make the team, and then we got a bunch of other guys fighting for probably only like maybe 2 more spots. I mean, you figure you got Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney, Kenny Galladay, and damn, what the hell?
That's that. There it is. That's it, right? We have 4 guys. And then the rest of them are question marks. I can't even put Darius Slayton on there.
That's the name of it.
Right.
Robinson, the rookie. Figure those 4 are definitely slam dunk guaranteed locks to make the 53. So it's a matter of who's getting these other 2 couple spots.
Well, the thing is, the hard part for Darius Slayton is he doesn't play special teams. I know some people say he played a little bit, but he's not CJ Board. If it came down to let's do 5 and 6, I don't think they're going to keep anything more than 6 receivers at max, right? I just think they're going to.
Can't imagine they keep it
right.
6 now.
I think they want to put more resources in other spots like tight end and fullback and things like that. So For me, I would say right now, Darius Slayton makes the roster by default. But if a guy like Keelan Doss comes in and is going to offer more and is catching the football, what's his face? Slayton is dropping footballs in practice already. And I'm like, all right, man, you're in a new regime. You're trying to impress new people, and you're already dropping the football. And you have a history of what? Dropping the football. Well, guess what? That's not going to bode well for you. So then let's just say Doss from somehow wins that spot. Now, the sixth receiver on the roster is most likely going to play special teams. That leaves Richie James, that leaves Robert Foster, and that leaves CJ Board on the thing, who are guys that have been brought in specifically. When you read their bios and you read some of the coaches' comments, were brought in specifically for the special teams reason. And Darius Slayton doesn't offer much in any of those positions. So for me, he could be the odd man out in all this. Plus, the other caveat, which I need to throw in there, is he has $2.5 million that could be added to the salary cap in case of an emergency. Which Joe Shane already said that he's a little concerned about some injuries already. So if you have a chance to free up a few more dollars, Darius Slayton could be the guy. Really?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't go to the extent of saying he's making it for sure, but my take is kind of similar. NYG 22, I feel like Darius Slayton has a leg up on all these guys, like for sure. I feel like
Yes.
as much as rumblings we're hearing about his name, I still believe he has a legitimate leg up on these guys because Darius Slayton, he has been here. But he doesn't have, like you said, Adam, he doesn't have connections with this regime, but he's been here. He has legitimate, decent NFL film that
Right.
a lot of other guys can't say the same thing. I mean, we're bringing in guys like that guy I said, the Raiders. He has like 11 career catches.
Right,
He's
right.
been in the league like a year or two longer than Darius Slayton.
But I'm not
But
saying per se that he is going to be better than him, but he's being brought in with fresh eyes. And what I want to say about your tape part is I agree with you that Darius Slayton has tape. The one thing that Darius Slayton has been consistent at is not showing up in games when we needed him to. And that's been his entire career. Like, he'll have a 100-yard game, and the next week we're like, where are you, bro? Like,
I mean, Eric Seabrook, man, I love you, man, but but Tyrod, man, like I said, I only see Tyrod Taylor getting on the field, honestly, if Daniel Jones gets hurt, for real. I honestly don't necessarily, I mean, he could be, unless he is playing also, he could be playing historically bad again also. I guess
well,
that's a
Eric
possibility.
Seabrook, are you a Giant fan? Because if you are, you know that Daniel Jones has not played let's see, 6 games this year, 2 games last year, 2 games in 2019. He didn't start, so that's a total of what? Oh, I don't know, 10 games he hasn't played in his years. So that means we might see Daniel Jones. Did I expect to see Mike Glennon last year? No, but the guy came in and I saw Mike Glennon. Did I expect to see Eli Manning after the benching was over for Eli after he was benched in 2019? No, I didn't. Did I expect to see whoever the booty ass Colt McCoy for 2 games who beat Seattle? I mean, those are 3 quarterbacks I just saw that I didn't think see. But guess who? Guess who was starting in front of him?
Yeah, exactly. Daniel Jones, who is not proven to be the most durable quarterback in New York Giant history. But yeah, CJ Board is definitely a valuable, solid. He'll be definitely a valuable special teams
Well, that's what I'm saying.
contributor.
It's like that's what I mean. Is like if you're going to keep him for special teams, that leaves Darius Slayton and the other guys we mentioned as the 6th player. And then it comes down to, again, what can you do on special teams? And maybe the best thing for Darius Slayton would be like, look, go be a starter somewhere else right now, because right now we believe he's the 5th receiver on the team, right?
Well,
At
he would
best.
at best he'll be like 5 on the depth chart
Right.
already.
So then maybe him leaving might give him a chance across the league when an injury happens that he goes, now guess what's going to happen? He'll leave, we'll get injured, and we'll be like, I wish we had Darius Slayton. That's probably how it always is going to go down, right? You think you have a plethora of guys or whatever, all of a sudden you get rid of those guys, and at least it always happens to the Giants. I don't know about other teams in the league, but every time we get rid of players, we always lose somebody.
And one thing, another little, I mean, I hate I'm sitting up here feeling like I'm Darius Slayton's lawyer or something. I like
Are you on this payroll?
He had a case of the, can you hear me? Yeah, I'm back on. Okay. So
Yes,
he
yes.
yeah, he had the best season of his career his rookie season. And I mean, he had there was a lot of the media was talking about how bad his hands were all through that offseason process as well. He still came out and put together a pretty strong season. So I
I
mean, I
think
don't
the I
look
think the week
too
two
much into that.
game. I think the week two game is what hurt his confidence. Dropping the ball on the big stage on Thursday Night Football to basically win the game, right?
I
He catches
mean,
that touchdown. It's over.
all eyes were on him. Yeah, all eyes were on him. He was wide open, and yeah, it was a pass he should have caught. So yeah, that is definitely gonna shake a player's nerves a little bit. But this is the NFL. You got to have tougher skin, and you got to be able to show that you can rebound from that kind of stuff. So I
Well,
don't
you know
know.
what? I'm not trying to kick him off the team. I'm just giving you the thing that there are other
Understood.
players who might be coming in here who, because you have an even set of eyeballs looking at you, just because you're not part of their regime. Keelan Doss was brought in by Joe Shane and Brian Daboll, and they selected that guy as a tryout. So what does that mean to Darius Slayton if they can bring a guy off the street? Mind you, they have like 10,000 receivers. Go look at their roster. A lot of guys you've never heard of. But if they can bring a guy off the street, that tells me that somebody in the back end is not doing something right, where you're needing more evaluation and bringing another guy to steal reps from. Because, if you look at Keelan Dawson's measurables, they're 6'3", 215 pounds. Who does he remind you of? Gabriel Davis over in Buffalo, who is 6'3", 215 pounds, right? Kind of the same kind of player. So maybe Brian Daboll envisions Keelan Doss, maybe if they can develop him right, as that type of player. I don't know. I don't sit in the meeting rooms. All I'm saying is that doesn't bode well for a guy like Darius Slayton. That's all.
No, I agree. Like I said, I feel like the top four slots are locked. You can lock those guys in: Shepard, Galladay, Tony, and Wandale Robinson. You can lock those guys. You can already pencil them in. They're making the roster. No, almost no matter what happens during training camp,
Right,
they're going to
right.
make the roster. So, like you said, there's about two more spots left,
Well,
probably two more. And I just right now, I think Slayton has the leg up. But you're right. I agree that I wouldn't be stunned by any means if he
it
wasn't
does.
on this team come September.
I will say this. He has one other thing going in his favor, is that the guys in front of him are banged up. Right, the guys right now, Kadarius Tony, Galladay, are nicked up a little bit. Right, they're in red jerseys and
Yeah,
all that crap. So because of that, and because of his NFL experience, that may push him up the depth chart, and he may be here because of that alone. And the coaches might be like, "Listen, Sterling Shepard's not going to be able to come back, in time. We need a guy to kind of keep those reps alive." Well, then there you go. Darius Slayton probably is your man. If they get tight on cash, he might be the guy. Well, listen, we've got Richie James or a couple other guys we like, or we're going to draft somebody next year. So he's pointless. But we'll see. We'll see.
absolutely, man. So, like I said, the one thing I love about this offseason for the Giants is going into this season, man. It's a lot of unknown. Right now, I'm not going to be overly optimistic, but at the same time, I'm waiting, man. I just can't wait to see what this team can really do on the field, and maybe they
Can
will come out and surprise us all, shock the
can
world.
we
That would be like ideal. My best case scenario, we come out there and just make it happen. But we don't know. A lot in this.
can we can we address
What's that?
Eric's comment for a minute? He's saying the best coaching staff. How do we know these guys are the best coaching staff we've ever seen? Because they're better than Joe Judge? Yeah, we said that same shit about Pat Shermer when he left. Oh, he's better than Ben McAdoo. Oh, now we got Joe Judge. Oh, he's better than the last guy. Bill Belichick's endorsing this guy. Oh, he's better than your last two hires. We're like, yeah, we got the guy. Woo! Then we're bringing this guy. Oh, the best coaching staff we've seen in a while. Like, come on, people. Like,
Yeah, they
get
got they got to prove too on the field. They got to prove it in the games too.
right.
That's what I think. Is so many unknowns with this football team. It's like you don't know what to fully expect because that's what's so refreshing about it. There's been so much change that we have no idea what we're really going to get, and hopefully it's going to be as good
We hope.
as it seems, and we hope and as it seems right now. Things seem to be going pretty well. We've so far we got guys
But
in red, like you said, in red jerseys, but we haven't had any like new injuries or anything like that. So far so good there.
the thing that I
And
will say is this: is that I want Dayball to do well, but like Jim Fossil and all this stuff, I don't want fool's gold either. I don't want to pretend that we're good, and then the next year we get our teeth kicked in because we didn't prepare. We need to lower our expectations this season and just see where these guys go, because Brian Daboll's going to have growing pains. He's never coached in a game before. It's not the same. Ask anybody. Ask Joe Judge. Ask Pat Shermer. Ask all the guys who've been there. Norv Turner. Not the same. Things are going to fall on you. Are we going for it here, coach? Are we not going for it here? Are we taking the field goal? Are we not taking the field? As an offensive coordinator, you don't worry about that. Offensive coordinator, you're just worried about Darius Slayton being able to understand his plays, understand the ebb and flow of the game, 3rd and 2, being ready when your coach says, hey, we're going for it. Now you're the man making those decisions. Those are the things that he's going to have to go through. So I can't say this is the best coaching staff. I'm excited for them, but I also was excited for the 27,000 coaches that were on Joe Judge's staff. He had Pat Flaherty. He had some good guys that were on that staff. We all loved Robert Sale, who came through that thing. We're like, yeah, man, Temple's head coach. Woo, offensive line is going to be great. So
NYG 22, man. They're creating healthy competition at a lot of positions, including wide receiver. Hopefully it'll push Slayton to be better. We can't deny he balled out his rookie season, but you're right, his confidence is hurt. Absolutely, I believe his confidence hurt. And then you follow that comment up with another great comment. The offensive coaching staff is unproven. Both Dayball and Kafka are both new in their positions.
They don't have Josh Allen or Pat Mahomes as their quarterback either, or Tyreek Hill or Stephon Diggs. Okay, let's not forget about that. I think a lot of people tend to forget about personnel. Okay, and that's how Phil Jackson did well in the NBA. His personnel. That's how other teams do well, is the personnel. When you go and take Phil Jackson and try to have him create shit with those Knicks teams, he did nothing as an executive. Because it was not just him. It was Michael Jordan. It was Scottie Pippen. It was Luke Longley. It was Tony Kukoc, Steve Kerr, all playing a role in their system, right? So you can't just if every coach was good, if Brian Daboll and everything were good, which they were, I've seen this before. We've seen the hot coordinator, right? That doesn't mean anything. Doesn't mean anything until the pads.
They got to prove it. You got to be able to prove that you can, like you said, these are new roles for them. I mean, Kafka was succeeded in Kansas City, but like you said, that was with Patrick Mahomes. It's a whole different ball game here with Daniel Jones. Nowhere near the same skill set, not even in the same stratosphere. So you gotta just wait and see, man. You just have no idea what we're gonna really get out of these guys, man. But I was ready to flip it over to the defensive side of things, man. What things we can expect on this defense. I mean, we got Wink Martindale hearing great things in the mini camps about how this defense is doing. So, how you feel about the defense this season, Adam?
The defense is pretty interesting. I'm not going to anoint them like everybody else is, but they are going to be exciting. I will tell you this: they're going to lose this football games. I will 100% tell you that, and that's not because they're not going to be good. It's because they're going to take a chance when the game is tight. Maybe on the 50-yard line, and there's a quarterback that we don't trust. We're going to maybe take that chance and say, hey, let's send the house at him. And our shaky secondary is going to give up a touchdown, and they may lose the football game that way. So, I'm excited. Wink Martindale brings a lot out. He's going to get the best of his players. But the reason why they lost a lot of games in the Ravens last year was because of Wink Martindale and that defense falling apart. At the end. And he had booty-ass cornerbacks like everybody else, and he has booty-ass cornerbacks right now.
Speaking of cornerbacks, that's a good topic because that is probably one of the biggest question marks on this defense now with James Bradbury having to be released and Adoree Jackson having to step in his second year with the New York Giants and pretty much be that number one guy back there at the corner position. How do you feel like the rest of these guys, Aaron Robinson, Darnay Holmes, who's going to step in and Cordell Flott? Who's going to step in and be that other guy opposite of Adoree Jackson?
I will go on a limb, and people may not believe this, but I'm going to say Rodarius Williams. And the reason why I say Rodarius Williams is, A, he was a starter last year before he injured himself, right? So he basically, what did he do? He injured himself. Week 6, he played all the preseason and actually had a decent year. And I think he's a guy we can't sleep on. I like Aaron Robinson, but his limited snaps, he didn't produce the same because remember he was injured in the preseason, right? So he didn't get up to speed till middle of the season, and then you have Rodarius Williams who did it. So I know it's probably a dumb thing to say, but that's the guy I'm gonna watch out for. Cordell, the flat kid, Flout, whatever his name is, CF. Okay, he to me is not ready yet physically to take the starting job just yet. Right? I believe like some people like his tape because he can come downhill and tackle. Yeah, that's great and all in college. And it's great and all when you're young, but these guys are big, bones do break, and guys do get stepped on, right? So for me, I would just want him to bulk up. I think he's 6'1", 170 pounds. And let's be honest, he doesn't run a 4.4, right? Rodarius Williams ran a 4.4 in college. He's pretty fast. So we're talking about a fast guy. Aaron Robinson didn't run that fast either. And it depends on what they're running, right? I think the best bump and run corner they may have is Rodarius Williams. But I do think Aaron Robinson will end up being the starter. I'm just giving you a dark horse surprise that may surprise some people because they interviewed him and he's hungry. He wants to start in position. So it's, unless they get a veteran at the, before week 1, I think it's going to bow out with those two guys.
I mean, I agree with the Aaron Robinson. I think Aaron Robinson will ultimately win that job. Hearing nothing but great things actually coming out of camp about Aaron Robinson. So he's definitely picking things up and playing pretty solid, at least as far as right now at this stage of the offseason, looking pretty good. And Rodarius Williams is an interesting character, man. We drafted him, he was like a 7th-round draft pick a couple weeks last year. But
yeah, it's a 6th-round pick.
6th-round pick, okay. And he actually came into the league, man. He's one of those kind of older, like an older rookie. One of those guys. He's like 20. He was like already like 24 years, 23, 24 years old.
I think he'll be like 26 or something like that.
Yeah, so he's got that, just the mentality. I think more of that maturity, and can handle, and probably that little thicker skin can come out there and handle things a little bit better. Because he really did have a tremendous training camp a year ago, and it was a shame that he got injured and missed so much action, man. Didn't get a chance to develop last year. So he's pretty much almost virtually like a rookie this year, basically.
The position I really want to talk about is opposite Xavier McKinney, because I love McKinney, right? But one guy that is around him who I like, Julian Love, is he really a free safety or a corner? Because to me, if the corners are struggling, I would move Love back over the corner and kind of get him to play that position because he has experience with it, right? And then then move somebody else. But then you beg to differ who's playing that other safety position. I would think Dane Belton would probably get first crack, or I hear good things about the kid Yusef Croker out of Kentucky. I heard good things out of him coming out and good things now. So it'll be interesting to see for me the secondary and how everybody comes together, because I think McKinney is going to be the star of the group. I think Jackson, hopefully you hope that he plays well enough to get a couple interceptions, because you brought that guy in for speed, right? That's what he did. That's what you brought him in for. And let's hope that he can take the mantle. And then, of course, on the other side, you have Williams, Holmes, Robinson, all the guys in the mix there, and you hope somebody rises to the top.
Xavier McKinney, I think, is getting ready to he's put a rocket pack on him, launch him straight to the moon, man. Xavier McKinney, absolutely the real deal, and he wants to step up. He's already openly spoke about wanting to step up and be more of a vocal leader in the locker room, everything else. So I wouldn't be surprised to see that C on his chest this year. As one of the defensive captains, man, because Xavier McKinney is definitely that dude.
Do your choices. Spaghetti meatballs. Spaghetti meatballs.
But I think I'm ready for the.
I think the regular meatballs
for the pass rush, but I'm curious to see if we can get this pass like NYG was talking about. This pass rushes, man, it should be solid, and if it is as solid as I hope it can be with Aziz Ansari and Thibodeau.
But that's what it was.
That's what we need, that to help this secondary out. That good solid pass rush would be a big help to that secondary back there.
And I agree exactly with him. But this is where my other comment comes in. Is the same mentality that's going to get us killed sometimes, because there's going to be a team that's going to be able to max protect a good quarterback. For example, Green Bay. We going up to Green Bay. Green Bay is up by a touchdown, and we need to get back in the game. Wink Martindale sends a zero coverage blitz. Boom. Okay, the Packers pick it up just enough that Aaron Rodgers, who already looked off the safety, and so McKinney bites this way, and the guy is one-on-one because his name is Aaron Robinson and not James Bradbury, and that's the back-making play that we're gonna happen. It's gonna happen to us, even though the pass rush is gonna be good. The Ravens, who are a good pass rush last year, it happened to them, and it was because their cornerbacks were not great. And so then when they were put on an island, they got beaten. So I'm expecting with the young guys this to happen. Again, practice is easy. Practice is breezy. There are booty-ass teams doing well at practice, right? And practice reports are, I believe, fluff pieces a lot of the time where, this guy caught this ball. Yeah, it was standing wide open in the end zone. I would have caught the damn ball too. So let's temper our expectations. Let's hope for the best, and prepare for the worst, because that's how I'm doing it with the secondary. I'm hoping for the best, preparing for the worst, because I like Kayvon Thibodeau. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that front seven, Mac. Let's go. Let's, what do you want to say? Let's bring it up.
I mean, I'm loving what I'm seeing. Azeez Ojulari coming in there, jacked, looking like he's ready to have a big year too. Kayvon Thibodeau, I mean, he's unproven at this level, but he seems to have all the confidence in the world, and as long as that can translate to his play on the field, I'm feeling really good about what we got there. You got those other couple of guys. You got rotational guys. Quincy Roche, you can't forget about him. Hearing good things from Ellerson Smith, man. So I think we're poised to have a really good rotation of guys. Almost, I don't want to compare them to those great pass rushers we had back in the earlier 2000s, obviously, but I think we're headed maybe potentially in that direction. You know what I mean? Of getting a unit like that again, possibly. And then obviously in the interior D line, you got Leonard Williams. I think could also be poised to have a big year if those outside guys can get it going, man. That'll just really open things up for Leonard Williams, rushing up the middle, man, coming up the middle. And Dexter Lawrence, you can maybe get him in there to be a plugger, man.
I like Dexter Lawrence. I'm hoping that being in this position will help him, because I believe he is out of position, which is making him look worse than he is. He's a solid player, right? And
I just want to say something real quick. Let me say what's up to G-Way with J-Lay, man. Thanks for stopping in the chat, bro. I really appreciate it, man.
Thanks so much, man. I agree with Adam. Secondary cost some games. Yes, NYG22. I agree with, just because it's done it before with veteran guys like Antrell Roll and Jamar Hosley playing on the same thing. They were getting beat in 2010 because Jamar Hosley wasn't holding up his end of the bargain, right? He was getting beat left and right. So now, and that guy was a third-round pick. Now he was a garbage third-round pick, but again, he got beat up and down the field. Now you're going to bring in guys who are third-round picks who are going to have to now rise up and play better. As for Dexter Lawrence, Sexy Dexter is one of my favorite players on the Giants defense. Just because his nickname is funny. He's just an overall happy guy. Man looks like a mountain of a person. When you watch him in the interviews, you're like, oh my God. And there's another guy I want to get to because it's funny. I think it's Miz mentioned him on defense. He mentioned Jihad Ward, but I will let me finish my Dexter Lawrence board. I think playing the position he's going to play in Wink Martindale's defense, we're going to see a different Dexter Lawrence, which I think will help Blake Martinez and the linebackers move, because we'll see an actual plugger in there, a guy that's going to, control the center and help that middle linebacker and those linebackers get to the runner back.
I totally agree. Getting almost hitting the 2-hour mark here. I do want to touch on the offensive line real quick, even though it's hard to really gauge what you're seeing out there, because here in these mini camps and OTAs, there's no offensive lineman. It's hard to tell when they're not hitting nobody. So you can say, oh, this guy has really good footwork, but I mean, you're not hitting nobody. It's kind of hard to gauge exactly how much improvement these guys are truly making. So, but you're seeing a lot of good. They're matching these guys up well. They're getting the third round guy, Joshua Azudu.
Yes,
getting him some reps at tackle, which is awesome. I mean, he's getting been getting some big key reps there at left tackle out here in the camp. I'm hearing great things about Evan Neal. I mean, it looks like this offensive line is finally also, I don't want to use the word fixed, because we got to wait and see for all of that. But it looks like it's finally going to look at least competent.
How
And
about we say headed in the right direction, right? Positive outlook.
it's looking that way. Yeah, I'm actually feeling legitimately pretty decent about it going into, right now heading into training camp.
Well,
Everything. I mean, you got a couple good picked up a couple more good young picks in the draft. Added some key pieces in free agency, and it's like we're putting together something pretty decent. Our offensive line next year, it's like we're only the only starter from last year. It's like it's going to be on the offensive line. It's going to be Andrew Thomas. It looks like it's like all the other four
possibly
spots.
Shane Lemieux.
I mean, possibly, but he didn't really play
Yeah, I get it. He didn't play well, but he's still on the team, and
last year, so I was still come on. He was in, but he was on. I know he was on the team, but he was injured all last season. So I just don't really. That's why I wasn't. I was saying Andrew Thomas the only starter, and then four new ones. Because
well,
I get Shane Lemieux was part of the team, but he didn't. He didn't play last year. He didn't play any games. Didn't he miss the entire season? If I'm not mistaken.
I'm looking forward to the line in 2023 because I think right now we have a lot of stopgap players on the team, a lot of developmental guys, a lot of unknowns, but I'm excited for their growth, right? Izudu excites me. He's playing tackle, unfortunately, because Andrew Thomas has got a little ankle injury that's been bothering him, which I'm a little concerned about. This kid's had ankle injuries the last 2 years, so I'm hoping it's not a chronic problem for him because it takes away from lifting weights and powerlifting. You can see that he's a little, I wouldn't say light, but it looks like put him next to, Evan Neal, everyone's going to look small. But against Azeez Ojulari, you would think he would look a little bigger, and Azeez looks like he's a mountain of a man. So I'm hoping that Andrew Thomas can get some of that strength back in these 6 weeks. I'm excited by Azudu. I'm really interested in the center position because John Feliciano, while he's here for only a year, that's something I really would wanted them to kind of shore up or maybe find a guy in the waiver wire that they can bring in next year and groom. Because, Feliciano's only here for a year, and, I want the line to have continuity. I want guys to be here. I think what helped the Giants years ago was Soybert and Deal and O'Hara. They all were in the same grouping of offensive linemen that came in. They weren't always starters together. They had to be pieced together as they were going forward, right? But they were brought in with the same line, the same mindset, and it really is development. I think a lot of things last year when offensive coordinators came in, that hurt Will Hernandez. Not only did it hurt like guys like Daniel Jones and Barkley, again, that's why I think Barkley's good is because he can take any offense and make it better. You don't need a learning curve for him. But those guys got stunted because you had 3 different guys barking in their ear. And then last year you had Mark Colombo in 2020, and another guy. And then they changed that guy to Robert Sale, who hated Matt Pert, right? So I really just want to see what's going to happen. Let the injuries go, and when 9/11 happens against Tennessee, we'll see what is really going on. We'll really get away because I think it's a great litmus test. Look at that defense. That defense is pretty good up front. They got one of the best D tackles in the league and 2 up and coming, if not already made, bona fide pass rushers, Dupree and Landry. And not to mention they're getting some corners back and things like that. So I really want to see this. This is a year I want to see the quarterback change the play at the line. Let's see how diverse they get.
I'm hearing he's getting a little more freedom to do things like that. So we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. But as far as O line, like you said, continuity is the key, and I can speak from experience with that. I just when you're playing with 4 other guys, you got to rely on each other for certain things. It's a lot easier when you have that continuity built up, which is hard to do when you're just shuffling pieces in and out of there. But as for this question here, who plays tackle if one of Neal or Thomas has to miss time? Well, we may just answer that question. Possibly, you got a guy Joshua Zuda that's been working at getting a lot of left tackle
I think
action.
that's exactly why he's doing it. He played left tackle in college. He did.
And then there's still obviously. I mean, I know nobody wants to hear this guy, but there's still the Matt Pert if he's healthy. I'm not sure, but at the same time, I mean, I think he possibly still finds a roster spot if he's healthy. on this team. It's a possibility. But
Well, there's also Matt Gano. I know that people don't want to talk about that guy, but he was brought in for a reason. If anything, he'd probably, if you don't trust Zudu, you'd start him over because he has a few games under his belt starting. So look out for him. I mean, he's not guaranteed because his salary is not great. So again, when you look at players, look at their salary also, right? That'll tell you whether or not they're expendable. You know.
Yeah, right now we do seem to have a lot more depth on the interior offensive line than we do at tackles, but that's why I think you look to try to make guys see how versatile guys can be,
Right.
And get the most out of them.
May the best 9 or 10 guys win.
I know. I didn't really want to say it, NYG. I didn't really want to, but it is what it's just the reality. It's our reality right now. It is just our sad reality.
We'll hope he's not working at the bank this summer. I mean, my God, love the guy, but he's not going to get it. If you think some people got the raw deal, this kid's got the raw deal. So,
anything else in particular you want to talk about the New York Football Giants, man?
Not really. I think the storylines are the major ones that we talked about. I am interested in seeing the tight end position a little bit and what they do there. And Daniel Bellinger.
That's a good one right there, actually.
I like
about that. Bellinger. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I think people are underrating him. I think they're like looking at Ricky Seals-Jones like it's his job. I think Ricky Seals-Jones might have just lost his job, to be honest with you. With Daniel Bellinger, Austin Allen, and Jordan Aiken, those three guys are a little bit heavier and block a little better than him. I wouldn't be surprised if Ricky Seals-Jones doesn't make the ball club.
Right now, from things I'm seeing, it wouldn't shock me because Austin Allen and Bellinger, man, they are out there killing it right now. And looking like those guys are getting spots, man. I mean, and why not? They're both young rookies.
Right.
That you can develop that you can just move forward with. So,
and that's another thing too, Mac, I want to just touch on is guys, just because Ricky Seals-Jones is here, he's not guaranteed. I know we were free agent, we were excited, but look at guys like Bellinger, like Austin Allen, guys who they want to groom because this team needs to be rebuilt. And we don't have many players going forward. So all the guys that are young that can get playing time that may kick off a guy like Ricky Seals-Jones, don't look at it as an indictment on Ricky Seals-Jones, which it really is because he probably stinks. But if you can get a guy that's going to be in your system the next 4 years as a guy over a guy who's going to be here on a 1-year deal, who you don't think may have a future here, well then yeah, see you, Ricky Seals-Jones. I need Bellinger and Austin Allen to kind of move us along, and they're going to be here in the next year. So we're going to take Austin Allen over you, if I had to guess.
And that's where I'm at with that. Like what you just said here, like it's good. You need tight ends that can block, but we need tight ends that can just be versatile, can do the blocking when the run help with the blocking in the run game, but can also get out there and have good, reliable hands. And that's what Bellinger is. He's a guy that was drafted, and I think a lot of people looked at him as if he was really just a blocking tight end because that's the way San Diego State chose to use him. But he really has sneaky good hands, man. And I think like I said, I've been on the record already saying outside of Thibodeau and Evan Neal that Bellinger was my favorite pick in the draft. I think we stole that man in the 4th round, and I'm just ecstatic. I can't wait to see him out on the field on Sundays for the New York Giants, man.
Hey, I want to answer. Oh, go ahead.
Allen, who also was undrafted, is also having a great camp. So I'm just excited for the tight end position. It could be fun.
I think to answer your question, Coach, it's going to be 4 tight ends with the 4th tight end being a fullback / H-back type. So look for a guy like Jeremiah Hall, who is about 6'3", 245 pounds, played fullback at Oklahoma. And H-back. So I think that's where they'll keep their 4th tight end because they'll be able to utilize him in the backfield like an H-back. I think 3 make it maybe if Allen, for some reason, hope he doesn't get injured or anything like that, ends up on the practice squad, maybe they keep 4 that way. But I think you want your 4th tight end to play specials and to have him be a fullback. I think Jeremiah Hall, look out for that guy. I think they brought him in for a reason. If you look at his tape, he has some wheels to him. He's not a robotic runner. He has a very smooth runner, and he's a pretty big guy. So if you're going to bring your 4th tight end, you might as well make him a fullback / H-back. So I think they go 3 plus the H-back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much agree 100% with that. like I said, as long as we're not keeping 2 fullbacks anymore, those days are behind us. I'm all good, man.
Hey, wait, Mac, you didn't like the 2 fullback look?
I didn't like the 2 fullback look, especially when you were like not even using
them.
like what the hell? Why were they both
God.
getting jerseys on Sunday? I didn't understand it. I couldn't figure it out.
I think we're the only team in the league that had 2 fullbacks, and they both did nothing. Holding clipboards.
But everybody, I'm about to wrap this up. It's been a couple of hours, man. Caden Smith is no longer on the Giants. I'm not really sure the full story behind all of that. But yeah, I did like Caden Smith too a little bit, but yeah, he's no longer a part of the team. I don't know where he's at, what he's doing with himself. But apparently he fell into the doghouse with Joe Judge and that regime, and it just went downhill from there.
Yeah. He had a bad knee, failed a physical, and this regime didn't like him for some reason. So tough break for the kid. I liked him.
Yeah, but everybody, man, I really appreciate y'all coming out. NYG22.
He froze again. So
Coach Ed, Blue City Empire, Miz, Nimar, K McDonald, man, my boy Philly B, Wells, Tudo. It's great to see all of y'all out there, man. Thanks for the support. And we'll be back with y'all again for another off-season edition. It's gonna be probably sometime in July, man, before you see us again.
Yeah, I think we'll give you a training camp preview, some storylines we're looking into, kind of elaborate on the Daniel Bellingers and those type of roster battles, and then we'll be there for the preseason games to give you our evaluations on things we see and things we like.
Yeah, Philly B, man, my internet been acting funny. I think I should have restarted my computer before I started the stream, but
thank you, Philly B.
Well. But I appreciate appreciate it, NYG22, man. Thanks a lot, man. Glad for tuning in. Appreciate you showing the support to the channel. Thanks, Philly B. Thanks, Coach, man. Once again, man, y'all can join us for premium takes. I want to say Sunday, but I know it's Father's Day, so we're gonna see. But if so, you see, we come try and ride with the Horsemen, man. Myself, Adam Costas, Zion Zenith, and NYG, Jeffy T, 3285. Catch us on Premium Takes on Sunday, man. So when we getting cheerleaders, Coach, I don't know, man. But yeah, it's been a couple hours.
When hell freezes over, we're getting cheerleaders.
Talking about the NFC East, man, but we're going to get up out of here for now. We'll see y'all back in July with another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Round-Up. Peace. Oh, shit, hold on.
Bye-bye, y'all.
I wasn't ready. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants Fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants Fan. That's MACDA Giants Fan.